We are live. Hello, hello. I see it come up on my monitor. Let me close this. Okay, hey, this is going to be a little different format. I know we usually watch races together, and we're going to watch some racing, but it's going to be a little bit different than I normally do. But let me start with an intro. My name is Miss T. Dad was a crew chief since his first car he bought in 1958 or 57. 1957. And it was to run at Brookline Speedway and Westboro Speedway. If you look at these cars here on my screen, I changed it from me being at Daytona to this is my son and the Bouchard car that ran probably the Talladega win. I'm not sure for sure on the background, but I know it's serial numbered and it's one of the real race cars. And then the 2X modified, of course, that is the Yeti Flemke, the coupes. That's where I started racing, was all the coupes. And let me snooze these ads for a second. And these coupes are super famous in our area and want to hear a really cool tie back. Ryan Preece's grandfather, Ryan Preece, that races in Winston Cup now. Well, what is it called? Cup. Cup. I don't know what it is. God almighty. But anyway, we called it Winston Cup back in the day. And Grand National back in this day. Even before Cup. Before Winston come on. So anyway, the 2X, those are all Ryan Preece's, that was Ryan Preece's grandfather's car. The next one in line's Ray Hendricks. This was a show my son and I went to. It was a modified reunion at New Smyrna Speedway. Back, I want to say 82 or 3. I mean, 2022 or 2023. My bad. But yeah, the car is an 80 or 82 or 83. But anyway, I got a bunch of research, and this is what I'm saying now. I will upload all of this, by the way, to YouTube after. But the main thing I did, I wanted you to see, and I wanted to document this really weird research. I got down this rabbit hole this morning. I got 200-mile-an-hour tape on my headphones because this one's broke, so I just hang it behind my head. I don't care, it's not that important. So anyway, this is Dad's old days, and it'll be some of the stuff I'm referencing to give you a timeline of this research here. And this is the research. Now this is Ray Hendricks' page, and the reason I stopped there is all of my research brought me to here, where I see Ray Hendrick, Dick Armstrong, all these numbers that are 01101 that say Dick Armstrong. Now he drove some late model for Clayton Mitchell, because this is now Virginia area, okay, like where Ray is from. But he started racing with Dick Armstrong, who was where my dad worked. So my dad actually got to set up the cars for Ronnie Bouchard and Ray Hendrick. So that's like the old days. So one of these Hendrick cars back here, Bouchard's got to drive it. Ronnie got to drive it through, and I have photos of all that too, through Dick Armstrong. And they purchased it off of the people that, Ray Hendrick's people. And anyway, so I'm going to get you to where I got to here. And I started in the Wayback. So I'm going to click back on all these. Going to click back. And don't get dizzy. I'm just showing you where I went and where I've been. And how I got there. This is where I start. And let me run this real quick. Get that over with. So anyway, I will upload all this to YouTube so it stays kind of permanent, because it's all part of my research. But I really found the coolest stuff, and I'm still not done my research, but I will dive into it. So what I did was go to the ultimateracinghhistory.com. It's the old database. It's not got any monetary nothing. It's got a few ads. It asks for volunteers, help wanted, and they update it all the time. Because when I left it up, I went to click back into something and it said page not available. So they do update the database continuously. It seems like within a few weeks or a month or so of races, and it's so deep dive. Where I started first was driver, okay? I was looking for one of my dad's very first drivers, Tinker Perogian. Now, this has some crazy old names, but I had yet to find Tinker. We're going to have to find some paper records of the races and stuff like that to be able to add him to the database somehow, if I have that ability. I'm not really sure. But anyway, this is how I got it. Block your eyes if you don't like scrolling, because I'm going to scroll all the way down to the P's. Okay. P-R-O P-U-P-R would be down in here. And unfortunately, I'm going to tell you he's not here. His name is P-R-O-G, and it goes from P-R-O-F to P-R-O-H. So it's missing. There's no records of Tinker, my dad's first, driver. So anyway, just to show you what the database looks like, I'm going to click on Ryan Preece, because that's more recent. There's his New Smyrna stuff. It's got every track he raced, the starts, the finish, the car owner number. Sometimes where they have the information, they will insert the car owner. As you see, it gets down into his modified racing, all his tour mod racing, all his wins are highlighted. And you go all the way down to the bottom. Let's see what the last race is. November 2nd, 2025. So it's been updated as of last year. It lists Jack Roush, but it's RFK Racing. Tony Stewart was listed on that other team. He drove for Stuart Haas. So anyway, just a quick review. If you, for example, wanted to see what happened at Phoenix on November 2nd, you click on that and you get the entire list of all the drivers and where they finished. Ryan finished 9th. I remember he got a top 10 in that last race. But you got everybody. Now, I wanted to see what Tyler Reddick's beginning was. So I click on Tyler Reddick. He started 2009 April at Paducah. See, a UMP late model dirt. See, it's got everything. And then you can go back, and then you can click on Phoenix, for example. You can click up here and see every race ever at Phoenix since 1964 and all the winners. And you can click on a race date. March 1964, you got A.J. Foyt winning. Oh, I want to know about A.J. Foyt, so we click on that. Gives A.J. Foyt's entire history. I love this database, and this is why I wanted to bring you here. So let's back up out of the Cup Series, back into this, and what I ended up doing was going to, let's see, browse by track. I said, maybe if I don't have Tinker's name, maybe it's got a car owner or something. You know what I'm saying? So we got all these speedways, again in alphabetical order. And I looked up Brookline. That was Dad's very first speedway that he raced at. Like, he drove his bike there when he was a kid. And he worked at a gas station on the way to the track. It was like 8 miles south of the track. So my dad would be pumping gas and seeing all these race cars and asking what's going on. And so he would take his bike and drive 8 miles on his bicycle, pedal bike, to the racetrack and get involved, and ended up buying a car in 1957. So that's kind of the beginning. So I wanted to see what's up with Brookline, and I couldn't believe they had Brookline. So then I click on Brookline. I'm like, holy crap. We got people. We got names. We got this. So we click, and there's only 2 names. So records are incomplete. Then we click on this. I'm like, holy crap. I know some of these people. This guy here, Raino Tulinen. I went to his garage as a child. It's like crazy. I mean, and then I clicked on Reno, and I got all this from Westboro Speedway, Stafford Speedway, Langhorne, Darlington. Then I go back, and I clicked on Bill Elrich. He was pretty famous, right? He won. Look at all these records. These are racetracks. West Peabody, that's in Massachusetts, gone now. Just crazy. More Brookline, Westboro. We could click and get every Westboro win. Then I saw Trenton. Okay, this is where I got excited. Oh my goodness, here we go, Trenton. I clicked on Trenton, saw all these names and everything like that. I'm like, I know some of these names, and Gordon Johncock and Al Unser and Mario Andretti. And then I started like, oh my goodness. And I ended up getting actually through Trenton, clicked on Trenton, and I went to one of the races that I know Dad was running. I just happened to click down here at the bottom, some of these modified races. Let's see, Richie Evans. And I got here, look, October 12th, 1975, Ray Hendrick won the Race of Champions. I could check A.J. Foyt's record. It's crazy. So I click on Ray Hendrick, and that's where we get to where I was. And that's where I get to where I showed you this car in the background right here. And if I can, I'm going to quickly jump into a quick little photos. Okay, photos. I saved so many. Look, this is going to drive you. Look, I saved so many screenshots, sending them to Dad and stuff. Oops, don't want to show that. It's my birth certificate. Oops. But anyway, yeah. So that's what I've been doing this morning. Wanted to document that for everybody who, like most of our watchers, honestly watch VOD, and they mostly watch on YouTube. Once I record this, I don't do too much with this other than publish and transfer. I might pull a clip if there's something decent or something, but let's see where we're going now. We are still in the database, and we were down to Ray Hendrick, and when I went down to the bottom, like toward the 75, remember I said everything that's a win is in highlights? These modified races with Dick Armstrong was my dad's wrenches. My dad was turning wrenches on these cars. 1975, Armstrong. These are all. Look at all the wins. 1, 2, 3. 3 wins that year. Another in 76. Another in, well, that's it. Oh, these are late model sportsmen. Now, Dad was always bouncing from team to team. Like, in this era, though, he was pretty much with Armstrong, is what I remember. We traveled a lot with the red Pinto #1. Oh, that's another thing. My banner on my screen that you see, when you start at the very top, I don't know which direction for you. Start at the very top left. That's Ernie Gahan, and that was a 1966 Northeast Modified, or, well, the Regional Modified, which was a modified champion of the country, because that was all that was basically in the East, was the Modifieds. Northeast Modified Champion was 1966. My dad won a Hudson Speedway championship in 1965 with Tinker Progen. That's why I was hoping to find. Maybe Hudson has some records of listing someone as an owner that might connect the records. But that's still, deep dive. But anyway, he was very successful in that time when he was driving for Armstrong. And anyway, after that, I believe Ray got a little bit ill. But there is a picture of the Pinto #1 in the very top, directly next to the 15. That's probably Bodine's car, or maybe Ronnie. I'm not sure, but it was Ronnie, Ray, and Bodine all on that team. I know they always see the red #1 was Bodine. I'm just telling you, it wasn't. just Bodine. It had Ray Hendrick, and Ray Hendrick was pretty freaking big back then. Jeff was just coming up the ranks, winning a lot, had a lot of bounties on him. And nothing to take away from Bodine, but yeah, he mostly won a lot of them in his 99, just saying. So, anyway, I can maybe look at that record and see if I can prove myself wrong. Here's this Martinsville modified race. I'm sure Bodine was in it. Well, maybe not. Richie Evans was finished 4th. Jerry Cook, modified champion, many times, finished 2nd to Ray. In that 1975 red Ford Pinto. Shout out, though, there is, and don't let the name slip me. It's the number one that races tour mods now. He does throwbacks to the Jeff Bodine car. That's why I wanted to also shout out the other drivers that made that team great. Let's see. I don't see Bodine on that one. 1975. Maybe Bodine came later. Maybe 76. Charlotte. That's a sportsman. How about Stafford? We can grab Bodine's. Here we go. Ray Evans. Bodine. Now let's see how much he drove that number one. Let's see, all 99. Okay, he did drive for Armstrong, 75. He got 3 wins he got 1 win that first year. Ray got 3. See what I'm saying? How the talk can promote, and someone humble like Ray. Won. Okay, the following year, Jeff did win like crazy in Armstrong's car. So there I'm wrong. This isn't, he kicked ass in 76 and 77. So yeah, he gets the accolade. My bad. I'm prejudiced against that because Ray and Ronnie were my drivers. So even though Jeff was the same team, he was a competitor. It was just wicked. It was wicked. Yeah, he took over Armstrong, obviously. Oh, the Yankee All-Star. My dad won this champion. See, Yankee All-Star modified? My dad, see, you can go down the rabbit holes. Oh, yeah, they just say the few. Kenny Bouchard won that entire series, an 8-race series. But Kenny Bouchard won it. And he won it at Star. Let's see if he even ran Star. Did this guy win? He didn't probably run the whole series, maybe. Yankee All-Star, he ran 1 race. And that's, what year? 1978. Gosh, I'm thinking Dad won it a different year, but I thought maybe. Let me look up Kenny Bouchard, see how this works. Home. You can always jump to home. And look up by driver. And Dad worked with Kenny then, too, so that's why I know. That 35 on my banner, right above. So that 35 that's white. There's a red 35 that was Ronnie, a white 35 that was Kenny. And the white 35 wasn't owned by the same people. It just had the same number. Okay, let me see. Bouchard. Oh, that's B. If you look at all these freaking names, there's so many famous names. Even international names are on here, too. Because there's stuff written in Mandarin that I don't understand. Let's see. B-O-U. Brooks. B-O-U. Shard. Oh, that's B-R-O-U. My bad. Getting old. All of this makes my eyes hurt eventually. And I know it's making your mind hurt probably too. But I'm trying. Man. Let's see. B-O-U-C-H-A-R-D. B-O-Y. If you get seizures, don't watch me scroll. Because it can trigger the flashing, B-O-U-C. Boucher. Wow, there's a lot of B-O-U-C-A. Ron Bouchard. There's Ron. Let me back up to Ken. Okay. Now we're looking for the Yankee All-Star, or the Yankee All-Star race or something. It was it's similar to the Tri-Track series they got. Like where there's multiple tracks involved. I'm thinking Star. Okay, 1970s. I gotta find the number 35. That's number 24 was Angie Cerise. Ooh, he might not have those records. Vega. Okay, there it is. There it is. Okay, 75. See, I had a feeling Dad was working with them in 75. This 1975 Chevy Vega. Now I think it's Star he won, but I don't see Star on this list, which is odd. I think that was the winning series race. But let me just click on Stafford. That might have been one of them. Ronnie, of course, he was with the 17, Bob Johnson. He ran the Bob Johnson Purple 17 before he went to Armstrong. Bodine might have been in Armstrong. That number 1 was maybe somebody else. Maybe not. 975. Yeah, Kenny was down here. And that Vega did not qualify. Oh, this was the freaking Spring Sizzler. Okay. Do you know how many people show up for the Spring Sizzler? It's insane. So anyway, we're down that rabbit hole. We'll jump out of that. I'll drop the database and we'll go into a few. We talked about Brookline. I'll just play real quick this Brookline Speedway reel. This was where Dad raced, the very first track that I'm aware of. And it's got a historical... I'm going to speed it up. And it's hard to understand, kind of. But I'm going to speed it up. ...1957 to 1965. I went there. It was right down the road. I was 3 years old, 4 years old. I remember being there. I got pictures.
I present Del Porter.
But you are.
Not of me, but of the track.
And I'm Scott Griffin.
Okay, my first question, thinking back before the Speedway...
Okay, so we don't want to see all the talk about it and why they ended it. We'll show. Right here, we're going to get this right there.
A lot of people's...
Peace and quiet of Brookline destroyed by the roar of autos. Okay, the same freaking story. Bite my butt. Everybody's... Let's see. His path was not smooth. Required to race on Sundays. They got all bent out of shape about it, but I want to show you some of the racing. There's a whole history on this. It's called the Brookline Speedway, Brookline, New Hampshire Historical Society. Admission 99 cents. Okay, that's Ronnie Bouchard, the age of 12.
And I'll tell you, it was noisy.
He ran a car at the age of 14 or 13. His father said when you're 15 or 16, you can get back in it. But that was Pete Salvatore's
all
car.
along South Main Street, all down that area.
So that's what the early days look like at Brookline. Let me see any more. Okay, this is what it looks like today.
Also,
That's what it looked like. Now that's what it looked like today.
Which was called three-phase power to run the lights at night.
And you can still see where the track was. I've actually Google Earthed it. You could actually see the outline of the track because the trees are a different age. See that? See it?
They rented the generator
Pretty cool.
from
And they used part of the track. See?
ran the power for the tracks at night.
I don't know.
generator was put into
Just
a truck,
cool stuff that we
and
lost
went
due
down
to
and hooked it up,
bitchy neighbors.
and
And
after the race was over, I hooked it and
it
pulled
stinks.
away, and then it was taken down there the next night.
We're going to jump
And
back into Dad's list. And historic apparel.
Meet the easiest pull-on pants made with mesh panel
Here's
fabric.
one of those
I got my
cars.
husband these
New
for his
England
birthday.
Modifieds
His
racing
friends keep
Martinsville
complimenting
in
how sharp he
68.
looks. These pants
Dad was
delivered
there
unmatched
with
comfort without
probably
sacrificing style.
Bugsy. Oops.
Also on today's program at Martinsville was a 100-lap NASCAR race for modified cars. The top three starters, Ray Hendrick of Richmond in number 11, a 1937 Chevrolet, Ron Harris of Richmond in number 98, a 1936 Chevrolet, and Perk Brown of Eden, North Carolina in number 04, a 36 Chevrolet, never changed positions and finished 1, 2, 3. The race was halted for about 10 minutes because of a heavy downpour of rain, and there were 4 caution flags, 3 because of spinouts and 1 because of debris on the track. Hendrick, for his first place finish, received Also on today's program at Martinsville was a 100-lap NASCAR race for modified cars. The top three starters, Ray Hendrick of Richmond in number 11, a 1937 Chevrolet, Ron Harris of Richmond in number 98, a 1936 Chevrolet, and Perk Brown of Eden, North Carolina in number 04, a 36 Chevrolet, never changed positions and finished 1, 2, 3.
Hi.
The race
Hi,
was
Liz.
halted
How you
for
doing?
about 10 minutes because of a heavy downpour of rain, and there were 4 caution flags,
Yeah.
3 because
Lumberyard.
of spinouts, and 1 because of debris on the track.
Yeah, I'd love to hear
Hendrick, for
that.
his first place finish, received
Smart asses.
$700. This, by the way, was his 5th win at Martinsville.
But this is
Speedway.
where my
Harris
racing
collected $500 for
stuff
finishing
started.
second.
This was where I
Brown
came from in
received
this era.
$400 for third. Bill Dennis
That's
of
how I
Glen
get all
Allen
this
was fourth,
background,
and
because I
number
watch these
54,
be built
63 Falcon
over and
of Ken
over.
Rush of High Point, North
Oh,
Carolina,
yeah,
driving a
you're in
36
bed
Chevy.
almost,
Number
huh?
22 was 5th.
Lucky
Dennis won
Aussie,
$300
living
and Rush
such peace and
$200.
quiet in the outback. But anyway, this is just a little history, and I wanted to document some of that I was researching. Oh, these are modifieds at Stafford. I was here this day. But anyway, yeah, back then the women weren't allowed in the pits, but I was sitting in those bleachers up at Thompson too. Well, they said Stafford, that's Thompson. I've been there too. I was probably there too. We were racing the whole circuit 4 nights a week. Yeah, you go to sleep and get some rest there, Liz. And I'm settling in, and what I did was finish my dad's history all the way to the end, up into 1999 and 2000. And I'm starting way back in the beginning, doing some more detailed research, and talked to Dad today, sent him a bunch of screenshots. He's like 83 years old. And him and my mom and Dad just celebrated their 65th, 6-5 wedding anniversary yesterday. So that's pretty cool to me. And shout out Mom and Dad. I know we've talked yesterday, we chatted online, but yeah, that's pretty damn special. And I will say this, a lot of my dad's racing contracts involved having my dad travel with my dad. Having my mom traveling with my dad. It was part of a lot of his contracts. I mean, as it got into the late 90s, 2000s, insurance, can't have people in the shop. You know, it got stupid. Everything gets stupid eventually, that's good. So we're gonna just short track race around here and not go to those big tracks unless they be nice. But yeah, it's so professional now. It's took a lot of the fun out of it. But to be here, like I was allowed to go here after the race. That's Stafford, that's clubhouse where the payoff window was. So we'd all hang out as kids, like all us kids hung out, all the drivers' kids, all the owners' kids. I was from the age of 12 to 20 at this track. There we go. Now that's Hop. C-H-O-P, Hop Harrington. That'll be the car I believe Ronnie will end up driving too. Because we've got a picture of Ronnie standing next to a car all suited up. And it says Hop still on the roof because Armstrong bought it 4-hop, and Dad came and helped set it up. Now this is my dad in the background right there. That's my dad in the background right behind the car. That's that's not Bodine. Bob Carvinen. Oh, I saw him this year. And yeah, last year. He goes to coffee every Monday with Dad. Awesome, man. They still hold it together down there in Daytona with all the old guys. I'm so lucky to have spent the last 5 years down there with them guys. For real. That's Ryan Priest's grandfather's car. Bobby Turner. Fred, I've touched that car. Lou Austin. Now my son's grand uncle drove the 69 later. And that's Bobby Santos. Bobby Santos III drives today. Bugsy Stevens' dad worked for 6 weeks and rebuilt this car and the Vega. And they took it to Trenton, Martinsville. Did very well. Jerry Cook, national champion. Now these cars don't look like much, but underneath, man. Oh my God, these guys, they had the geometry so figured out that they still use the front end geometry today. That's what's amazing. Now that's Ernie Caruso. I don't think he's any relations to my son's Caruso family. But anyway, there is some Carusos that are racing, and they're New York Carusos. They're not my son's family either, but as far as I know, like not recently. Freddie Schultze. Bob Park. Now he raced a car. No, his son, Steve Park. I'm telling you, this is history, man. It's too emotional. Oh my goodness. But anyway, I'm going to tell you what the rest of my day will be. I'm not going to stay on here too long. But I'm going to work a little in my cabin. I'm going to try to rake up a spot where I could start composting for the garden. Booker T. Washington Jones, he was one of the first person of color to race at the track, and he was treated just as he should have been. He was one of the dudes. Bobby Santos, again, Bobby Santos III drives now. Rolling lap here. Every field needed a rolling. That's Richie Evans' car behind him, I'd bet. Maybe it's a little, yeah, it is probably. That orange. I don't know what this is jumping into. I just saved a bunch of clips of Dad's, races and all. I'll get back to the database and see. And what I will do, just because y'all like to watch the races, I know it just jumped back. We'll go in this playlist. Let's play you the 1972, no, let me see, 1973, 74, 1975, a little bit of mine. So I want to find a full race here. Alright, I know what I'm going to do. I'll play this little one from Martinsville, and then it'll jump to the Permatex race, and then Thompson, and then, let me see, we'll do this one real quick, see what's up with this. I think this might be a lot of the same type stuff. This is just at Martinsville, a lot of the same cars, just about 3 years later. Actually, that one's from 73, 72. That's Bob Johnson, the one that was the crew chief originally on the 47 for the first year and a half. Then Dad took over crew chief on the 47 in 82 and 83 mid-season, this one. Now, I'm going to jump back into this. I mean, these are just epic. That's one of Richie's cars. But he would have team cars. Ronnie drove one once, and I believe Jeff Fuller drove one once in the later years. When Ronnie drove in the early years, a team car. because it was helping the setup, you know, like they were helping Richie, even though Richie was a competitor. Like we all like did those types of things with these big races because we all didn't want to toe down. You know what I'm saying? But you know, everybody collaborated because we had to race 4 nights a week, guys. If we wrecked a car, you know, same as nowadays, you blow up a motor at New Smyrna, someone's going to try to find you one, which is really, really cool. So anyway, let's, wow, Bob Park with a crutch. There's probably a big story behind that. 73. These are such famous racers in the day. That was John Rosati, the 73. Oh, that 3 in the background, that's Bola's. He took it to Stafford looking like that on purpose because they said he needed to paint his car. So he brought it with like a body panel of 3 different colors. I mean, I'm telling you, it wasn't Freddie that did it. It was Sonny Casella. I mean, not Sonny. What am I saying? Pizarro. Oh, why am I drawing a blank? Back to the database. Yeah, it was Sonny. It was Sonny, I think. No, Sonny had the 15. It'll come to me. Dad knows, and Dad's gonna like say, "What the hell? You know who that is?" Anyway. Lenny Bowler. My God, Lenny Bowler, and his family still owns the team, and the team still races today, if you can believe it. It's crazy, and that's where I'll go to. Let's jump in. I want to watch a race. I'm blind. I'm having to get really close to my screen. Sizzler Shorts. Richmond, 1982. Oh, I got some of these old races. Okay, we went to the modifieds. You know what I mean? Like the modifieds. But when Dad went south in 1980, he went south in 82 for more permanent. But 85, he this is probably going to throw in it. Okay, we'll watch this race. It's a 3-hour race. But this is a really, really good copy of 1982. And Dad's car is there. And Dad was crew chief later on in the season at the Firecracker 400. Dad took over duties, and this is Atlanta, so I think it's the early race. I think.
There are a lot of new and unusual faces for Grand National Racing. There's not one of the new and unusual faces.
But what I'm going to do is go get a drink, and
at least as the media calls him in this
I'll be in the chat. I'll just jump off a line.
Not one in a long time, and it seems like every week there is at least some journalist.
I'm in the chat. I just got to get a drink and clear my throat and all that good stuff.
Richard's day. He is not qualified at the very front here this week. He'll start from the inside of row number 7, but Richard is still groping for that first win in more than a year and a half.
I'm old at all this. Can't remember how I switched seats.
Well, the pace car is about to lead the 40 starters.
I'll be right back
Here, and let's take a look right now at the starting lineup for today's Atlanta Journal 500-mile race.
Hi, I'm Terry Levante, and I'm starting on the inside second row, car number 44, the Stratograph Texas Jeans Buick.
Hi, I'm Darrell Walker, 35 years old from Franklin, Tennessee, starting on the outside of the second row in the Mountain Dew Buick.
Hi, I'm Jeff Bodine. I drive the Spectrum Furniture number 50 Pontiac Grand Prix, and I'm starting on the inside of the third row, in 5th position, and we're going to win today.
Hi, I'm Bill Elliott. I'm starting on the outside third row in the number 9 Melling Crew Ford.
I went to the Dover race toward the middle of this year, like September-ish, the fall race. So
I'm Dale Earnhardt. I'm starting 8th in the Wrangler Jeans Bud Moore Ford.
I'm familiar, like I have photos of all these cars, all this season from being in the pits. They were on Polaroids, you know, you click and it spit them out. But yeah, I got photos of that weekend at Dover with these cars, this alma mater, this
The field is moving at
how you
Atlanta
say,
International
these alumni.
Raceway. This is the remainder of the starting lineup. In the 6th row, car number 28, Buddy Baker from Charlotte, North Carolina in the Rainier Racing Pontiac. And Benny Parsons, car number 55, Benny from Ellerby, North Carolina in the Wayman Bruton Buick. In the 7th row, car number 43, Richard Petty from Randleman, North Carolina
There's
in the
Dad's
SCP
car.
Pontiac, and number 02, Mark Martin from Harrisburg, North Carolina in the Jolly Rancher Buick. In row number 8, Lake Speed in car 17 from Jackson, Mississippi in the Yazoo Mowers Pontiac, and Ron Bouchard from Pittsburgh, Massachusetts in the Race Hill Farms Buick car 47. In the 9th row, Jody Ridley from Chatsworth, Georgia, car number 90, the J.D. Stacy Ford. Tim Richmond is alongside, number 2, and from Charlotte, North Carolina in the Stacy Buick. In row number 10, from Sardis, South Carolina, Cale Yarborough, car 27, the Valvoline Buick, and Ricky Rudd in the Piedmont Airlines Pontiac, car number 3. In the 11th row, Kyle Petty, car number 42, Kyle from Randleman, North Carolina in the STP Pontiac, and Donnie Allison from Hueytown, Alabama, making a return in the Uno Oldsmobile, car number 1. The 12th row, D.K. Ulrich from Harrisburg, North Carolina in the Pentex Cameras Buick, and alongside car number 19, Dick May from Charlotte, North Carolina in the Demeter Grain Buick. Row number 13 this afternoon, Jimmy Means from Forest City, North Carolina in the Broadway Motors Chevrolet, and Bobby Wawak from Midland, North Carolina in the Superior Piping Chevrolet. In row number 14, Lenny Pond in the Palatine Automotive Chevrolet, and Rodney Combs in the Stacy Pack Buick. In row number 15, Darrell Sage in car 86 in the LeCar Chevrolet, and Buddy Arrington in the Motorsports Design Henwood Video Chrysler. In the 16th row, Rick Wilson in the Wilson Racing Oldsmobile, and Travis Tiller
It's
in
a
the
little
Ring
skippy.
Enterprises Buick. Row
The
number
internet here
17,
in North
consistent
Carolina
Dave
mountains
Marcus from
fluctuates.
Charlotte, North Carolina
I don't
in the
have as
Bosco
smooth a
Buick,
stream
and Glenn
as I
Jarrett in
used
the
to, but
Budweiser Light Ford.
when I
In row
move
number 18,
my
Tommy
studio
Gale
over
in
into
car
my
64 in
cabin,
the Sonny King Ford,
I'll be
and
closer
Marty
to
Robbins in
this
car 22 in the Robbins Racing Buick. The 19th
the
row,
air,
J.D.
whatever the
McDuffie, car
Wi-Fi
number 70 in the
thrower
Baker
outer,
Trading
the one
Pontiac,
that
and
throws
Steve
it out
Moore
into
in
the air.
Franklin Music
I don't know
Pontiac.
nothing
In the
about this
last row,
stuff.
Jerry Bowman and Phil Duffy. The pace car off the track. The cars come down the main straightaway, and the green flag is out. The Atlanta Journal 500 is underway.
Thank you for following.
Despite the fact that the green flag is out,
If
it
you're
looks
new
like
to
that they're
this
still
stream,
running
my dad
the
was
way
a
they
crew
started.
chief.
They're
I'm
side
writing
by
a book
side
of his
into turn
career, and
number
I'm doing
2.
heavy
Morgan
research
Shepherd and
because
Harry Gant out of turn 2
I had already
down the
went through his
backstretch.
career
Now it
once,
is
but
Terry
now I'm
Labonte in
deeper
car number
diving
44,
into
moving to
some
the
of
inside
the
along with Jeff Bodine.
weekly
They're
stuff
stacked
here and
three abreast
there
as they head into
that
turn
he
number 3.
participated
Morgan
in
Shepherd
as a
goes
crew
high,
chief and
Bodine also high.
you know,
Terry Labonte
chassis
to the
man.
inside
He's
of the
chassis
racetrack, and
design.
turn number 4 has the lead at the moment. Here they
Thank
come
you.
to complete lap number 1. It is Terry Labonte, followed by Morgan Shepherd. Side by
Yeah, I know
side
it's a
for
bot.
third. Jeff Bodine and
Cha-ching!
Dale Earnhardt.
Stupid idiot. As long as they don't say nothing hateful or try to sell me stuff.
Number 1, if the remaining laps of this race are like that one, all of you at home watching are in store for a great thrill today. Very, very tight quarters going through the west banking on lap number 1. There goes Morgan Shepherd, the pole setter. He moves it back into the lead. Labonte drops right down low in front of Earnhardt. Not even inches. They are just micro centimeters apart.
Here they come off of turn number 4 to complete lap number 2. Still Terry
I'm a
Labonte
cheap
with the
streamer.
lead.
I don't need
It is
cheap
Dale
viewers.
Earnhardt with about a half a car length advantage on Morgan Shepherd, but those two cars run side by side as we head for turn number 1 once again. Now Dale Earnhardt to the inside of the racetrack moves solidly into second position. Neil Bonnet in car number 21 establishes himself in fourth position as once again the cars race down the backstretch. Now Dale Earnhardt moves to the inside of Terry Labonte in turn number 3, keeping the car low on the racetrack and takes the lead momentarily. But Labonte and Dale Earnhardt race side by side in turn number 4. The completion of lap number 3. Again, it is Terry Labonte with a very...
In reality, if I felt like I needed 1,000 viewers, I would play a race on Sunday and get a copyright. Just you know what I'm saying? I don't do that. These things here being history is acceptable because of the research, school, education, news, and research, and all that good stuff. That
as Bobby Allison begins to establish
fair
his
use.
authority as he takes high to the racetrack above Terry Labonte. Dale Earnhardt leads. Terry Labonte is second. Morgan Shepherd is third. And Terry Labonte running in fourth position. Bobby Allison has moved up to fifth place from his 10th place starting position.
In 22 editions of this race, the late season race in Atlanta, only one time has the pole setter won. Remember, Morgan Shepherd was the pole setter here this year. Will it be a year where that skein is broken, where a pole setter finally picks up the second win for a pole setter in this race?
Well, it looks like in the early stages of this race, the track to have is the lower groove, because that's where most of the drivers who are in turns 3 and 4 are able to get an advantage coming off of turn number 4. Neil Bonnet has moved into the lead now, with Dale Earnhardt running in second position. Morgan Shepherd, our pole sitter, is running in third place. Neil Bonnet, of course, is the defending champion of this particular race. Neil won here a year ago.
Well, for all of the Steve Moore fans out there who was excited the fact that Steve qualified for the race, unfortunately it turned out to be a very short drive for the driver making one of his few starts in Grand National Racing. Steve Moore in the Franklin Music Park Pontiac is already pulled into the garage area. But out on the racetrack, there's nothing quiet or silent about what's going on out there. The lead draft is about 25 or 30 cars right now.
Yeah, they really are running nose to tail out there, and all the field basically running in the draft. And we expect to see this drafting situation continue all afternoon. Neil Bonnet and Dale Earnhardt, Morgan Shepherd and Terry Labonte, Bobby Allison, your first 5 cars, as once again they move through turn number 4 onto the main straightaway of this 1.5-mile racetrack at Atlanta International Raceway. We've also been told there was a late driver change. Joe Boer from Lafayette, Indiana, is piloting car number 19, the car that was originally assigned to Dick May.
We work the early stages of the race, and one of the things to watch for are the changing grooves of this racetrack. As Bob commented, the fast lane seems to be right down in the bottom at this point. Traditionally here at Atlanta, as the track gets a little bit of moisture on it, as the race wears on, the groove moves higher on the speedway.
We'll be back with more of the Atlanta Journal 500, the next to the last race on the 1982 Grand National season. ESPN's live coverage of the Atlanta Journal 500 from Atlanta International Raceway. Bobby Allison is the leader. ESPN has brought you a variety of auto racing throughout the season, and we remind you that on Friday, November 12th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time, we'll present the NASCAR Harvest 150, a battle of late model sportsman cars. When NASCAR's Harvest 150 heads your way from the Richmond Fairgrounds, drivers like Dale Earnhardt, who right now is in second position, will be competing again Friday, November 12th at 9:30 p.m. The points battle, as we have mentioned in the early stages of this race, very close. Darrell Waltrip is the leader, Allison second, Labonte is third, Richard Petty is fourth in points, and Harry Gant is fifth. Sixth position, Buddy Arrington. Seventh is Dave Marcus. Eighth is Ron Bouchard. Ninth is Dale Earnhardt.
Dad got to go to the Waldorf Astoria when they ended up finishing. This is the end of the year, so Dad is in that. Holy crap. This is the last. Oh, sorry, guys.
Number of laps in a race.
I didn't unclick my camera. If you hear the woofing, this is my lovely Sparkle. Oh my God, she's killing my mic.
Rockingham, and that's how he was able to keep pace with Darrell Waltrip in terms of not losing any ground in the point standings. Darrell beat him on the racetrack. He finished first in the event, Bobby second, but because Bobby had led the most laps in the race, he was able to keep right up with Darrell in the point standings. Allison planned to run near the front, not necessarily leading here in the early stages, but apparently he feels comfortable enough to go.
That's
right
Sparkle. We are fostering a pit mix. She looks like a beagle in the face. She got one little dot on her head, so that's why she's named Sparkle. But a friend of my son's had to go to New Jersey for a few months, and she is coming back for Sparkle someday soon. But Sparkle is awesome. She's 5 or 6 years old, like my Stelly, but she doesn't like cats, so she's got to stay in the house or walk on a leash because she thinks my cat's lunch.
Shepherd. And running in 6th position is Richard Petty.
Well,
And
Waltrip
she's
is
gorgeous.
notorious, I guess you might
She's
say, for the
gorgeous.
other crews
She's
benefited, doing
gorgeous.
so well at the end of the season. Junior Johnson and company really get their act together when we wind down
Okay,
into the
look
months
out
of
the window.
September, October, November.
Okay.
Waltrip, for
Yeah,
instance,
that's
this season
enough,
has
that's
won
enough.
4 of the last
You want a
5
cookie?
races.
Let me
2
go
of
get her a
them have been
cookie.
on
She'll be
short tracks,
happy.
2 of them on the super speedway. So be rest assured that everything at this point in the race is well under control for the Mountain Dew crew of Junior Johnson and Darrell Waltrip.
We have completed 16 laps. 328 laps will make up this 500-mile race. This Atlanta International Raceway actually is a little more than 1.5 miles in length, officially 1.522.
This racetrack has historically been kind to the equipment that has the Ford logos on it, and right now with Bill Elliott running in second, we've seen Bonnet near the front, and also Earnhardt. Looks like maybe that'll happen again.
All right, here we go. Bobby Allison is the leader in car number 88 rather. Second place belongs to Bill Elliott, car number 9. Running in third is Joe Ruttman, car number 75. In fourth position is Dale
Okay,
Earnhardt,
she's
in
happy.
car number 15.
The minute I rattled the
And
back,
in
she went,
fifth position is the
You saw her
Bolster
blitz
Ford
off.
Shepherd. Right behind him is Richard Petty. And
It's
traffic
been
on Richard Petty is
an
Jeff
adventure
O'Reilly, car number
having
15.
her.
There are 7 cars involved in the lead
To keep
lap.
her and the
We have
cat
a little bit of
apart.
racetrack before we get back to the
It wears us out.
going down the back stretch.
The cat's very
Buddy Baker
stubborn.
running in 8th,
And
then Labonte
she
and,
just, she's
Neil
happy.
Bonnet are 9th and 10th. Harry
But-
Gann and Waltrip are side by side for 11th and 12th. Benny Parsons
She
is
wants
with
to
that
eat the
group, as
cat.
is Cam Redford. Those are the first 14 or 15 cars.
Or at
Kyle
least
Petty's
chase it.
about-
The cat's already lost 3 lives.
Jody Ridley and Jeannie
Chased
Dunleavy's
once.
car. Certainly all these guys still in it. Part of the other cars.
And
of that
just,
initial lead draft,
her eyes are big
Yarborough,
now.
Bouchard,
She's,
Lake Speed, Ron
she's
Bouchard,
in shock.
Wilson
So,
and Dave Marcus. All
anyway,
those drivers within about
I'll
a
take
quarter of a lap
Sparkle
of the
out
lead
on
at
a
this point.
Look how close the first 4 cars
leash
are as they get down
later
the backstretch. And
after
here
this,
turn number 3
and maybe
once
she'll
again.
go out on
In
her
order,
tryout
Bobby Allison is the leader.
while I
Bill
work on the
Elliott running in
cabin for a
second
minute.
position. Joe Ruttman, Dale Earnhardt, and
This is a
Morgan
long
Shepherd.
race, so
On turn number
we're in
4
for the
on
long
5
haul.
degree banking, a quarter mile in length of front straightaway here as they pass before thousands of spectators gathered for this
Like I
last
said, I went to.
NASCAR race in the
Oh,
southern
this is
part
the
of
last
United
race of the
States.
season.
The final NASCAR race of the year, of course, will be held in Riverside, California, on the road course.
Oh.
The leaders will soon be approaching in about
Second
3,
to
maybe
last.
2, maybe about 1 second. The first clump of lap cars. They've,
Dad will
been
finish
forced
8th
to
in points
work
with the
their way
team,
through.
and I
They're
know Mom and
rapidly
Dad got to
approaching
go to
Philadelphia.
New York
You'll see
City
coming up
and
on
go
the
to the
inside,
Waldorf
left-hand side,
Astoria,
you're
and yeah, it was
over.
really a
Travis
fancy
Tiller
deal.
is,
And
just in front
because the
of,
top
Duffy,
10 all
and
get their
now the
own
leaders
head,
headed up by Bobby
what the
Allison,
head
starting to
table is
put
the
some
winner,
laps
but then
on the first
the
group
top
of
10
four
get
cars.
like
It has been a
preferential
very fast pace so
treatment.
far in the first 21 laps of this contest. They are averaging just slightly under the record at this point in the race. They are averaging at this point 159.279 miles an hour. And setting a tremendous pace
159.
at this point, Bobby Allison, as Allison moves high in turn number 4 to pass one of the back markers.
Now, this is a 3-hour race. The races used to be really long, and
The
then
number 38 car,
they
driven by
shortened them.
Jerry Bowman from Charlotte, North Carolina. There's a good view of the front straightaway here at Atlanta International Raceway.
One of the drivers who was right at the front about 10 laps ago as we watch Allison and Elliott continue to blaze the trail for everybody was Neil Bonnet, and Bonnet is backed up significantly. He's a whole straightaway now behind
Can you
the
imagine
leader.
the guys
Apparently,
nowadays
the
driving
number
these
7
long
Woodward's car is
races?
not handling quite to perfection for Neil Bonnet, but he probably will
I
be
don't
able to
know.
stay on the lead lap. He
With
runs
all
about
that gear they gotta
13
wear,
right now,
they'd
and
probably
he'll stay
cook.
up, with the leaders to make that chassis adjustment at the first pit stop.
The leaders putting a
So
lap
much
on
safety
the
gear
Chrysler,
now that's
driven
got
by
them in a
Buddy Harrington,
capsule,
and also
basically.
putting a lap
I was
on
watching
Marty Robbins,
Dirty
the
Mo
country
Media
music
last
star,
night.
who's
The
also
Cletus
a race
McFarlane
driver. Our coverage
issue
of the Atlanta Journal 500
of
continues
Dirty
in a
Mo
moment
Media
from
is
Atlanta
super worth it to
International
hear
Raceway. 27
like
laps
some
have been completed. Bobby
safe
Allison
about
is your leader.
safety.
Bill Elliott
Like they
second,
talk a
Joe
lot
Ruttman
about
and
the
Dale
safety
Earnhardt
in
battling for
NASCAR.
third position.
Because these are all questions Garrett Mitchell had for. I'm going to call him Garrett Mitchell when he's racing, and he can be Cletus when he's doing his other things. But I'll interchange it. But I look at him as Garrett. But
making a comeback of sorts.
I think they even had him listed as Cletus Mitchell on some of the things,
Car, and Donnie coming back from,
which is fine.
Suffered in a race. There he is in car number 1, and we hope Donnie does well here this afternoon. He started this race in 22nd position, qualifying.
These guys were tough, man. Way tougher than the drivers are today. These guys got beat up in these cars. You drive the 87s on the sim. You know what that's about.
The only thing I'd say to that is, you know, when I got hurt, people weren't sure whether I'd be able to drive a car again. You know, in fact, when I got hurt, they weren't sure whether I'd be able to do anything again. And you know, I said the other day in a newspaper article, you know, you got to prove yourself every day. It's a shame that's the way it is, but that's the way it is. And you know, I'm ready for that. If they want me to prove it again, I'll try it. See what happens.
Oh, she's talking to her bone.
Alabama.
Buenos dias, hola.
Donnie was the 1970 Indianapolis 500 Rookie of the Year. Of course, his injuries took place in the midpoint of the 1981
¿Cómo
season.
está?
It has been a real struggle for Donnie to come back.
As we pick up on the leaders once again,
Bien,
see that
bien.
Bobby Allison is still in the lead. Dale
Más o menos.
fighting for second position. Earnhardt low on the racetrack, and Bill Elliott high as they sweep out of turn number 2 and head down the backstretch. Running in 4th position is Joe Ruttman in car number 75, and Joe is giving that car a good ride. Joe started in 10th position. 30 laps have been completed. Bobby Allison, one of the 2 drivers who are battling for the Winston Cup Championship, leading the race at this point, and it's pretty obvious that Bobby Allison is trying perhaps to pick up that 5 points for leading most laps in the race. Darrell Waltrip is
Mi
still
papá,
kind of lurking in the shadows and watching what's going on ahead of him.
A couple of seconds ago, we were talking about Donnie Allison. Ironically enough, this is the last racetrack that Donnie Allison won on.
4, 7, 4 y 7.
And was in this race, the November month.
Darrell Waltrip is running in 9th position at this time.
My father is working on the car number 47, is what I said.
Miles an hour. We are at Atlanta International Raceway, south of Atlanta, Georgia, actually closer to the small town of Hampton, Georgia. One of the finest racing facilities in the country, always good competition here. And the Atlanta Journal 500 is being covered live for you today on ESPN. Bobby Allison, Bill Elliott, Dale Earnhardt, and Joe Ruttman.
Sharing this to my Facebook, just a sec, because I have some people. See, no, Pileto, no.
Perhaps a more serious charge by Cale, but that has not been the case so far. He, of course, is a 3-time Winston Cup
Solamente trabajando con
He really
equipo.
has not made a move. And you know, this racetrack can be punishing to the car. And Yarborough is in a position now where he just continues to motor around and keep the leaders in sight. And as soon as we have a pit stop or a caution flag, he's absolutely lost nothing. Yarborough, as you can see, has won 74 times on the Winston Cup
Mi papá manufactura en los años más antes de ahora.
Competitive if you race week after week after week. You go out and you find out some of the problems that you have, but they have been able to solve that by just running on a periodic basis. They've had a great year.
The editor of Stock Car Racing magazine, Dick Berggren, is in the pit area.
This is the Bobby Allison crew. If you think the pressure is on the drivers, sure is not on this particular crew at least. Yesterday they all went off and they had their blood pressure taken, and every one of them came out normal, except a couple that came out more relaxed, in fact, than normal. This morning, Gary Nelson, the crew chief, told me they're not nervous, they're not tense. They have all the confidence in the world that Bobby Allison is going to win this championship, and if not this year, certainly next.
Well, it's often said that races are won and lost in the pit area, and that could be the situation with the national driving title.
I've got a puppy that wants to walk.
And those pit crew members definitely have a lot of responsibility riding on their shoulders. The battle for the lead is between Bobby Allison and Bill Elliott. Out of turn number 4, Elliott with the advantage now, and Bill Elliott has established himself in the lead. Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia, is the leader of this race, with Allison running second. Dale Earnhardt is third, and Joe Ruttman is running in 4th position.
You have to say that Bobby Allison has had a successful year. Some may say, as we look at the current leader, Bill Elliott, that Bobby Allison has been first in class. There's Allison right in the middle of your picture screen right now, looking at Dale Earnhardt trying to sneak up on the inside. Allison has won 7 times this year. He already has his pole for the Busch Clash. He is ranked second in total dollars won with 531,000. He is also second to Darrell Waltrip in terms of the number of total laps led. And we have a spin in turn number 2. Marty Robbins has lost control, and another car involved touches the fence. It may be Donnie Allison.
So 2 cars involved in an accident in turn number 2. Marty Robbins triggered the incident when he spun, and as he was moving down the racetrack going to the infield, Donnie Allison in car number 1 spun and tagged the outside wall. 2 cars are involved. They race back to the yellow flag here on the main straightaway, and we'll see how they do as they come by us. Harold Kinder, the official starter for the NASCAR Grand National Division.
Okay, I just wanted to share that to Facebook because my dad had some racing people asking when I go live. I don't think a lot of us old school racers know much about how to use Twitch. I mean, I'm still limping along myself, but
the number of miles that are elapsed, they don't have to pit at this point, but
yeah,
some quick decisions will be made now by a lot of crew
because I don't normally share everything out. I usually do this just for my own research and company and visiting with y'all. Yapping my mouth about racing. I like racing. I know how to set up a car though pretty good. Oh, Donnie.
Stepped out of his wrecked Uno Oldsmobile.
And everybody's coming in, Bob.
Fun fact, the very first live broadcast of the Daytona 500 ended with this guy and Kaylee Yarborough in a little fisticuff.
All of those drivers coming into the pit area as Donnie Allison looks over his.
And like I said, I apologize for the skippity bippity on this. I'm a little far from the server here in this area. And this little campground complex.
And tires being changed on the car. Allison looks anxious to get back out there. He's conferring now with the crew chief, Gary Nelson. Gary has his hand down in the hood of the car. Neil Bonnet also is in for work on that Hodgson Ford.
Jeez, these guys were bigger than life then.
Richard and Kyle continue to watch the Neil Bonnet car. You know, a couple minutes ago, we saw the Bill Elliott crew. That right now is currently, at least statistically, the best pit crew in NASCAR racing.
Terry Labonte is being shown as the leader. We'll take this break and be back with more on ESPN's Auto Racing 82. USAC stock car drivers, including Bay Darnell, Joe Wallace, Bob Reback, and defending champion.
Oops, sorry, I was muted. That was my father. I'm going to just back up just a smidge.
Have that for you Wednesday, November 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and is in for work on that Hodgson Ford.
Gosh, I'm going to clip this later.
The petty cars are also in, Richard and Kyle. Continue to watch the
That's exactly what it looked like. They didn't have the big boxes. You just had stacks of tires.
That right now is currently, at least statistically, the best pit crew in NASCAR.
There's Dad. That's Dad right there.
Labonte is being shown as the leader. We'll take this break and be back with more on ESPN's Auto Racing 82. USAC stock car drivers, including Bay Darnell, Joe Wallace, Bob Reback, and defending champion Dean Roper, gather at the Illinois State Fairgrounds for the Allen Crow 100. Larry and I will have that for you.
I wonder what was up.
17th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time and 5 Pacific Time. We are under yellow.
He had his head in the window, probably couldn't hear Ronnie good on the radio.
The leader is Bobby Allison, second position, Bill Elliott, third is Morgan Shepherd, and fourth is Dale Earnhardt with 42 laps completed. Once again to the pit area, Dick Berggren.
This is the tire that came off the left front of Bobby Allison's car. It's not worn out by a long shot. These marks indicate how much tread is left. They suggest this tire is only about a quarter gone. The reason they make so many tire changes is because when the tires are brand new, when the rubber is fresh, they're faster. And that's the point of changing the tires so often. Fresh rubber?
And also, I think if you can put them back on, they're already like got a cycle of curing. They got hot and got cooled down, which gives them a little more durability in the long run. It's like tempering steel in a way. Same concept. Cures them.
The subtleties of Grand National Racing. what appears to be a normal
Sparkle's
usable
been
tire
very
to the
patient.
layman's
She's
eye may
had
in
to
fact
go
be
to the
not usable at
bathroom.
all.
So I'm going
This
to
white
actually...
circle here marks the flat spot on a tire. You'll see this be marked on tires sometimes during a race. The car that these tires were mounted on was involved in a very minor spin, but just this little difference, not visible to the average eye, is enough to throw this tire so out of balance it is not usable for racing conditions.
The cleanup continues over in turn number 2. Donnie Allison's
There you
red
go.
race car is still over there. We'll take this break as we present live
Oh,
coverage
these
of
are
the
really
Atlanta
old,
Journal
so like it
500
didn't mean
hour.
the same thing as some of the symbols do
A reminder
nowadays.
that later on this afternoon at 4 o'clock Eastern Time,
Yeah.
ESPN will present the WCT Tennis Maryland Classic. Join us for that. Right now, we have hot and heavy
Okay,
racing
night,
action at Atlanta
Liz.
International Raceway. Not at this particular moment.
I'm going to have
the,
to walk
yellow
Sparkle
is out
anyway,
because
so
of
I'm
the
going
accident up
to
in
take
turn
a
number 2
break.
involving Marty Robbins and Donnie Allison. Both of those drivers are out of their cars and okay. The
Maybe I
leader at
won't
this
use
point
that one. I'll
is
do this one.
Bill
I'll be in the
Elliott
chat. I'll
car
take my
number
phone with
9.
me.
Make that Bobby Allison in car number 88. Bill Elliott is running in second position. And in third would be Morgan Shepherd in car number 98. There's the leader, Bobby Allison, in the number 88 Gatorade Dyguard Chevrolet. Well, you saw how efficient these pit crews are during a pit stop. We just had a series of pit stops because of this yellow flag situation. And we looked at the Bill Elliott crew do some work yesterday, and then we decided to get in the act. Wow, what a situation.
How difficult is it to execute a good Grand National Stock Car pit stop? If you were with us a year ago on ESPN, you saw that our ESPN crew had a little bit of fun, but a lot of difficulty executing the pit stop. Well, Bill Elliott, whose crew right now is the best, at least if you look at the statistics in Grand National Racing, is going to show us how it's done for yet another year. And as soon as they're done, we're going to call in the assistance of one of our broadcasting colleagues, Ned Jarrett. He's going to watch the ESPN crew, and we're going to see if we've improved at all over the last 12 months. Bill Elliott comes to a stop in his assigned pit stall, and 5 people bolt the wall. The jacks whine away. 2 tires are rolled in. The change is made. Both tires are put on the right side, the outside of the race car. Hopefully all this will be done in well under 20 seconds. Elapsed time, 13 seconds. Well, can the ESPN people beat that?
Well, I don't think our guys can quite match that 13 seconds, but let's see if they've improved since last year. It took them about 42 seconds. They did have a little bit of a problem with one of the lug nuts. I don't think the NASCAR officials would have let the car go out on the racetrack, but they've practiced some since then. Here comes Bill Elliott's car now rolling into the pits. Everybody ready to go. Larry Nuber handling the jack. He comes around very gracefully. Bob Jenkins on the right rear tire. Dick Berggren on the right front tire. That's a little bit slower. In fact, we're having a little bit of problem with the jack. Larry Nuber didn't quite get the gracefulness that he needed in getting the car off the ground. And he's even got it on the wrong place, and he doesn't have the handle twisted so that now he's getting it up. The tire men really did a job. They got the lug nuts off the tires. Now getting the back up on there. That's quite a chore in itself. I'll tell you, those things weigh about 60 pounds, and these guys are not used to handling that kind of weight. Jenkins finally gets his off. Berggren coming along just great. Now he tries to pick the tire up, and he finally decides to roll it, which is a smart thing to do as he gets it back there. Still Bob Jenkins with the help of Larry Nuber. Hell, that tire's going to fall off of there if he's not careful. Now he gets the wrench headed in the right direction. He's got to be sure that it turns in the clockwise direction. The jack goes down, and away they go, and that must have been about 61 seconds.
Well, unfortunately, the bad jack work there by Larry Nuber slowed me down on the right rear. Seriously, I had figured out how to get the lug nuts on and off real quick. What I didn't consider was the fact that those tires weigh 60 pounds.
Well, Ned said some of the items weighed 30 pounds. You say 60. They all felt like about 500 to me.
We are still under yellow at Atlanta International Raceway. We'll be back with more coverage of the Atlanta Journal 500 on ESPN. As we rejoin you, we are about to go green. Lap number 47, the Atlanta Journal 500, underway once again as Bobby Allison leads the other competitors down the straightaway. They're 4 abreast going into turn number 1. Bobby Allison, the leader. Bill Elliott running in second position. Morgan Shepherd is in third. And in fourth place is Jeff Bodine. Fifth place belongs to Richard Petty. Those 5 cars hooked up in the lead draft. Right behind Richard Petty, trying to get into the lead draft, is number 11, Darrell Waltrip. Into turn number 3 they go. Morgan Shepherd looked to the inside of Bill Elliott there. Could not make the move. Settles back into third place. Off the fourth turn, Bobby Allison continues to lead this race.
Boy, things happen very fast at the Atlanta International Raceway. The straightaways here are only 1/4 of a mile in length. And obviously the precarious point on any racetrack is the corners. Each of the corners are 1/2 of a mile in length. It hardly seems, even from our vantage point, that the drivers have an opportunity to take an extra breath going down the straightaways. You're always in the corner, and the restarts are absolutely thrilling here at the Atlanta International Racetrack.
Bill Elliott sneaks by Bobby Allison and puts himself into the lead for the second time this afternoon. Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia, driving car number 9, the Melling Tool Ford. And as we, I believe, mentioned earlier, the Fords seem to perform well on this racetrack. Neil Bonnet, the defending champion of the race, won last year in a Ford.
Well, the Fords have been handling very well for about a decade. As we look at the average speed after 48 laps, it's above 152 miles per hour. Of course, that was the average speed before that lengthy caution flag that we had for the non-injury incident involving Marty Robbins and Donnie Allison. The Fords here have always done well. The fact that they have handled well for the past decade by and large, and the fact that handling is so important here at the Atlanta International Racetrack. Also, drafting becomes a significant factor, and for whatever reasons, the body configuration of the Fords has always drafted well also in the recent past.
Well, Bill Elliott has done rather well on the NASCAR circuit this year, but he has not ever won a race. And we ask him, how come? No wins.
Well, I'd say up until this year, we really didn't even think we had a shot at winning a race. But up until like the May race at Charlotte, kind of everything turned around. It seemed like we'd go to races and come pretty close to winning races. And, you know, it's been a real good season. And what else can you say? It's just that we hadn't had the necessary breaks I think it takes to win a race. Felt like the last race at Charlotte I should have won, but you know, it was just circumstances that I didn't have any control over.
Bill Elliott is 24th in the point standings. He has competed in 19 races, has finished in the top 5 8 times, and 9 times in the top 10.
One of his best finishes was the 1979 Darlington 500 when he finished in second position.
Good racing going on here. Harry Gant, followed by the number 75 of Joe Ruttman. Right behind him is Benny Parsons. And then the number 21 of Neil Bonnet. Those 4 cars hooked up in the draft.
Remember that Bonnet was poking his nose up into the number 1 position in the first 10 laps of the race, and we noted as we watched the battle for 11th through 14th that Bonnet was not handling quite that well near the end of the last green flag portion of the race. They made a lot of changes on the car and the chassis, and Neil seems to be running a little more smoothly now as he follows Benny Parsons in that new ride for Benny here in the latter half of the season, the Wayman and Bruton Special.
Harry Gant started second in this race, is currently running in 11th position. Harry has won 2 times this year in NASCAR competition. He won the Martinsville race and also won at Charlotte. So this year he had not won a Grand National race, but he has 2 victories to his credit this year.
And one of only 4 drivers who has been able to win more than once. Of course, Allison and Waltrip have dominated the series. Harry's won a couple, and Cal Yarborough, with his periodic but very successful appearances, has 3. All the other people who have won, including Earnhardt, Bonnet, Richmond, and Marcus, have been able to garner only a singleton.
Back to the leader, and it is Bobby Allison and Jeff Bodine battling. Jeff Bodine in that car number 50 inside, and outside is the Gatorade car of Bobby Allison. Here they come up of turn number 4, and Jeff Bodine is going to be shown as the leader. Bodine is the leader with Bobby Allison running in second position. Richard Petty has now moved into third. Dale Earnhardt is fourth, and the driver who was leading just a couple of laps ago, Bill Elliott, already back in fifth.
Now, Bodine is one of the interesting stories of 1982. Looks like he's destined to become the Rookie of the Year, although Mark Martin is still very much in the battle for that. It's between Bodine and Martin. Martin got the early start. Bodine has had all the impetus in the latter half of the season.
We talked about Harry Gant, his crew chief Travis Carter. Nick is with him.
Travis
Carter, you guys started way up front. You're dropping back. What's wrong?
It wasn't in the tires. I don't know what the problem is. He's having to run a little easier than he needs to.
What kind of adjustments can you make at this point?
Well, we don't know what it is. There's nothing we can really do. We just have to do the best we can, and it's going to be a long day.
Travis Carter going to try hard. They got a vibration problem.
There is the lead pack. Jeff Bodine, Bobby Allison, and Richard Petty, followed by Dale Earnhardt and then Bill Elliott as they come out of turn number 4 once again and cross the start-finish line, completing lap number 57. The track record here at Atlanta International Raceway for 500 miles is held by Richard Petty. That was established in 1977. The speed 144.097 miles an hour, 3 hours, 27 minutes, and 52 seconds. The race record in 1970 by Richard Petty, also 500 miles, 142.712 miles an hour. And Richard would like to win this year. He has only 2 more chances. He's looking good in this race, running right now in 3rd place.
Well, the last time that Richard Petty won was at the Michigan International Speedway on the 16th of August, 1981. Hard to believe it's been that long. Time goes by very quickly, and it's an agonizingly long passage of time for Richard Petty.
Richard Petty, despite his no wins this year, is 4th in point standings. He has finished in the top 5 9 times and in the top 10 16 times, has only won $369,820 this year.
Very good point, Bob. He's had a great season. He's number 3 in the Dollars Won Derby, behind only Allison and Waltrip. He is ranked 7th in terms of the number of total laps led, 7 times, by the way. Talking about the number 7, he's won the Daytona 500. And with the total number of laps completed, another category that's important in the point standings, Richard is ranked 10th. So you certainly can't say that the guy who has the 3rd most number of dollars taken to the bank has had what you would call a bad season.
And I'll tell you somebody else who is looking real good at this point, and that's the guy that's leading, Jeff Bodine. This guy is a rookie on the NASCAR Winston Cup circuit. As a matter of fact, he is the leader as far as rookie points is concerned, and right now is leading this race.
An absolutely intriguing story. It's a very complex one, the career of Jeff Bodine. He has always been a dedicated racer. He's always been intense. From time to time throughout his career, controversy has followed him, but he's always been successful. He was fast on a big track from the very first time out. About a decade ago, he showed up at the Pocono racetrack in the Pocono Mountains, the first time he'd ever been on a track higher than a quarter of a mile, rather higher than a half of a mile, as Bobby Allison looks to the south side of Bodine, and he was good right out of the box on a big racetrack. Some have called him cynical, some have called him pessimistic in the past, but others have called him a prince, and we really haven't found that negative part of Jeff Bodine. He's always been very open, very willing to talk. He's a very frank gentleman, and sometimes that gets you into trouble with certain members of the racing fraternity or certain members of the press corps, but Jeff Bodine is a professional. He works very hard, and he's willing to share a lot of what he does with the other people around him.
5 cars are hooked up in this lead draft, and there was some very close competition there between Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty. It looked to me like they touched coming out of turn number 4.
You can get away with that to a degree, and particularly with a couple of guys like Petty and Earnhardt. They pretty much know what the other guy is going to do, and they know that they can touch one another and probably get away with it.
The leader, Jeff Bodine, putting a lap on Philip Duffy in car number 99. Philip from Augusta, Georgia, started in 40th position in this race. Out of turn number 4 come the leaders. It is still Jeff Bodine showing the way with Bobby Allison 2nd. Richard Petty is 3rd, then Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott.
And the chartreuse and maroon car, as we look at the black and white car, the chartreuse and maroon car of Marty Revens is back on the racetrack. There's Yarborough in the Valvoline race car. Cal, who started 19th, remember, he was lingering in 19th position for quite a while. He has now moved up to the 7th position. Cal is very tough on a racetrack like this, which has a tendency to be demanding on race drivers.
Here is the lead once again. Now 3 cars are nose to tail and side by side as they have kind of broken away from 4th place Dale Earnhardt. Richard Petty, Bobby Allison, and Jeff Bodine into turn number 2. Jeff Bodine has been the leader now for the last few laps. He took over the lead from Bobby Allison on lap number 54, and we have now completed lap number 64. So Bodine has been the leader for the last 10 laps. The cars running the low crew move in turn number 3 and 4. Now it is Bobby Allison right up on the back bumper of the leader, Jeff Bodine, out of turn number 4. Petty looking to the inside, trying to find a spot to pass, but cannot do it.
That scene has been replayed for about 5 laps in a row. Bodine is not quite as quick, or so it would seem, as Allison and Petty is. Now Richard looks like maybe he wants to flex some muscle. Bodine doesn't seem to be quite as quick as Bobby and Richard coming out of turns 2 and 4. And they have been ever so close, particularly down in the bottom of turn number 4 each of the last 5 or 6 laps. Let's see how they play it this time.
65 laps completed. The drivers put a lap there on the backstretch on Darrell Sage, car number 86. Darrell started this race in 29th position, a young driver who has a very promising future in NASCAR competition. You'll remember that Jeff Bodine told us when we saw him in the row assignments that he was going to win this race, and he is in the lead right now. He also is in the lead as far as Rookie of the Year points are concerned with 230. Mark Martin is in second position.
And Brad Teague and Jim Sauter, the other 2 names that appear on that list, they have long since abandoned any hopes that they had of going after the Rookie Honors for 1982.
The Atlanta Journal 500 being presented live on ESPN. 67 laps completed. And Nick Berggren is working hard in the pit area following many stories. Let's check in with him.
The story in the pit area is of 2 drivers, one doing better, one doing worse. The one who's doing better is Cale Yarborough. He just came in and made a pit stop. They adjusted the back spoiler on the car. That took some of the push out of it, which translated into more normal terms, meaning the car handled better. He is going faster. His crew says he's going to start eating through the pack at this point. The driver not doing as well, Ronnie Bouchard. His car has picked up a skip. The engine is misfiring. And Bouchard's day is not going well.
In the pit area right now is Harry Gant in that Skoal Bandit. Work being done on the right side of the car and fuel being put in. Harry Gant roars back into competition after a quick pit stop.
Quick, but not quite quick enough. He did lose a lap. Travis Carter and True did everything they could to get the Hal Needham back race car back onto the racetrack, but the leaders put a lap on him while they were making their adjustments on the pit road.
And here are the leaders once again. 4 cars now running very, very close. Jeff Bodine, Bobby Allison, Richard Petty, and Dale Earnhardt. Back in a more at Atlanta, Georgia. Ball game they'll be having for you on ESPN at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Notre Dame versus Pittsburgh. That's tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Tonight at 7:30, settle back and enjoy the LSU and Alabama football game. That's at 7:30 Eastern Time and 4:30 Pacific Time. And of course, the NBA tonight will be on the air. Right after that, the NBA game between Portland and Los Angeles live at 10:20 Eastern Time and 7:20 Pacific Time.
The battle for that national championship in college football is really getting shaken up as some of the #1 teams keep getting knocked off. And next weekend, there are some great games also on ESPN. You'll be able to see Notre Dame and Penn State, as well as Pittsburgh.
This is Bob Jenkins along with Larry Newber and Dick Berggren bringing you the Atlanta Journal 500, the 29th race on the NASCAR circuit for 1982, live from Atlanta International Raceway. Here is the situation. We have 4 cars in the lead draft with the 5th place car just a little bit behind. As they come off of turn number 4, the positions are going to change. Richard Petty moving to the inside. The lead is held by Jeff Bodine. Running side by side for 2nd position, Richard Petty to the inside and Bobby Allison to the outside. Richard Petty moves into 2nd position as they come off of turn number 2 and down the backstretch. But the driver that continues to lead this race is Jeff Bodine.
Well, they really gave DK Ulrich something to think about as they came down the front stretch that time. DK in the Pentax Cameras Buick was right in the middle of the leaders as they went to all 3 lanes. Smoke coming, a car spinning coming down the front stretch. Yarborough.
Yarborough's car spins coming off of turn number 4. Another car is also involved, spinning high on the racetrack in turn number 1.
Dale Earnhardt, it was simply Yarborough, or so it appeared, losing control as he came out of turn number 4. Cale almost saved it. It happened right in front of Earnhardt. Earnhardt nicked the front end of Cale even before Cale touched the outside retaining wall, and Dale was unable to recover after just brushing the front bumper off of Cale Yarborough's race car.
2 cars involved in an accident on the main straightaway. Dale Earnhardt is trying to get that car back in gear and trying to move away, but cannot. He was smoking the rear tires there, but he cannot move that wrecked race car away. Cale Yarborough's disabled vehicle is right on the inside of the racetrack in front of the main grandstand. There is Cale. You can see him taking off his crash helmet and will be climbing out of the car very soon as a safety official has already moved to that area of the racetrack. Cale steps out of the car, is okay, hops over the pit wall, but it's all over for Cale Yarborough. Let's take a look at what happened.
He had just begun to make his move. He was running 19th about 20 laps ago. He had moved up to 4th and looked like he had sights on trying to pick up those 5 points for leading the race. Cale is running. There he is coming out of the inside of the 4th turn. You see him losing control, saving it almost once, almost twice. Does he have it? No, it gets away. Earnhardt nowhere to go. Actually, Dale didn't run.
Okay, I'm back in the chat. Just had an eventful 15 minutes with cats trying to eat and dogs trying to go through windows. It got a little crazy for a minute. I gave everyone hell and told them all to go lay down, and they did.
Tremendous job of driving by Morgan
But
Shepherd.
now
And
it woke up
also,
the
we'd
neighbor's
like to
dogs.
make mention of the fact that Harold Kinder, the accident occurred right under him, and
Anyway,
he was very quick to get that yellow flag out.
they will
Dale
replay
Earnhardt
this
is out
if
of the
they
race
don't,
car.
I
It looks
will.
like he may have suffered an injury as he
This
has
happened,
fallen to the ground. Cale Yarborough has moved over to Dick Berggren.
This seemed to have happened
what happened out there?
while we were
Engine
away.
coming off the 4th turn and just got all under the wheels and just got away
Jumping
from
back in the camera.
It was a wild ride, but you know, the call.
Phew, I tell you what, it's been a 15 minutes trying to calm down.
Cale Yarborough feeling all right. Wish he'd done better for his car. This is the last race they're having together.
We might expand on that a little bit, Larry. The fact that this particular race crew will not be together next year as we look at Dale Earnhardt. Perhaps he had just stooped down to take a look at the rear end of that car. I don't think he's injured.
I think you're right, Bob. Harry Ranier, who owns the car number 28, will be the car owner for Cale Yarborough next year. MC Anderson, Cale's current car
It's got a
owner,
flat and a
wanted to
bent
run for
wheel.
the championship, and as all racing fans know, Cale Yarborough
Really
has
good brakes.
become very committed to his family. He did not want to run for the championship, and so MC Anderson has decided not only to park the team, but to fold up the suitcase and go home. Cale will move to the Harry Ranier car for next year under the sponsorship of Hardee's, which was announced in the last couple of
I'll
weeks.
be on the camera in just a moment. Give me just a minute. If they don't replay it, I will. But I think, yeah, they're going to replay it here. Ooh, can't do that. Just
and we have it live.
lost grip. Oh no, something flew out. Look at something flew out of the car.
Thousands of race fans have turned out on a beautiful sunshiny afternoon for the Atlanta Journal 500 at Atlanta International Raceway. Several thousand in the grandstand, but a few have chosen to bring their lawn chairs and watch the race from the top of their van or camper. Well, Saturday, November 13th at 8:30 p.m., 5:30 p.m. Pacific time live. Saturday night of the fight will be at Hiram Beetham Stadium in San Juan, Puerto Rico for the Featherweight Championship between a couple of fighters. And this series has been a very popular one on ESPN throughout the season, Larry.
Well, a lot of fighters have had their careers actually propelled by some of the appearances they've made on ESPN, and ESPN is very proud. We are very proud of what we have been able to contribute to the fight game, and some of the people who a couple years ago we were saying will be the stars of the future are the stars of now, and most of their careers, of course, have had a lot of additional exposure on ESPN. Roberto Duran, one of the big names in the fight game today, has been a mainstay on ESPN broadcast. Sean O'Grady is another one.
And Jerry Coetzee has also been a member of that very excellent series, Saturday Night at the Fights on ESPN. The yellow remains over Atlanta International Raceway.
We just had a real quick glimpse of the end of pit road down near turn number 1 as we look at the top 4. Waltrip, there he is, Bodine, Shepherd, and Elliott. Bobby Allison has made at least one additional pit stop on this caution flag. They're doing some work on that race car. I think this may be his second additional pit stop. Everybody ducked in for a little bit of routine service, but Allison has been in twice, maybe 3 times. The hood has gone up I'm guessing it's probably a chassis adjustment, but it's an interesting development here after 78 laps of 328 laps.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to lose a lap here because his car is still down at the end of pit road. They had the hood up just a second ago, but it is down right now. It looks like that Bobby may be trying to get out before the cars come around, but they're in turn number 4 right now as we watch the cleanup procedure over there at the Dale Earnhardt cars. That car has come to rest to the inside of the racetrack. Bobby Allison now does move out of the pit area.
Allison pulling out, Richard Petty going by on the high side of right now. They're going past that scene right there. Dale Earnhardt. You saw Earnhardt smoking the rear tires. Obviously had no engine problem, but there was so much damage to the front end of the race car.
Gosh, wish you could do that nowadays where your crew member climbs in, rehooks you up while they're towing you back.
As the rest of the field is going down the front stretch. Still under yellow.
I think nowadays if you get out, you're...
There is Bobby Allison back out on the racetrack.
I don't know what the rules are, to be honest.
Boy, Darrell Waltrip gets hounded by the news media.
Most of them don't get out unless there's a problem mechanically with the car, like fire.
What we wanted to know was, if you were interviewing yourself, what would you ask yourself? Again, a reminder that immediately following this race at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, the WCT Final Maryland Classic. Exciting tennis action coming up for you. Yellow remains out, but the cleanup has pretty much been completed down in turn number 1. The Cale Yarborough and Dale Earnhardt accident that has put Darrell Waltrip in car number 11, the Mountain Dew Buick, into the lead. Darrell started in 4th position, is now the leader. And there was a new interviewer in town over the weekend. It was Darrell Waltrip. Who was he interviewing? Himself.
What do you do in the race when you have to go to the bathroom? What do you do when you have to go to the bathroom? Well, I'll tell you, Darrell, it's kind of difficult. That's poor planning if you get in a race car and all of a sudden find you got to go to the bathroom. But a lot of times you'll see a driver drop off the pace just a little bit, and it may be that he's adjusting his seatbelt down tighter to keep everything restrained. I don't really know. I've never had a big problem, but that I get asked that a lot. I've never had to do anything in the car. And one last question. At 35 years old, for some reason or another, I always hear about Darrell Waltrip's going to retire in a few years. Would you like to put to rest any rumors about your immediate retirement? Well, with 51 Grand National victories, I think they put me in the category of the guys that are ahead of me and behind me. Most of the ones are behind me have retired, and most of the ones just ahead of me are thinking about retiring. And they see my name in there with those guys, and I think they feel like, well, gosh, he must be close to retiring. He's won 51 races. No way. I'm going to be around for at least 5 more years. So you people, and you too, Darrell, just think about it for 5 more years and then come and ask me again.
The magic of television. Darrell Waltrip interviewing Darrell Waltrip. We have racing action here on the Atlanta International Raceway as the green flag comes back out, and once again a scramble for position as they head for turn number 1. Darrell Waltrip continues to hang on to the lead. Jeff Bodine is right behind him. Morgan Shepherd has now moved up into 3rd position. Bill Elliott is running 4th. In 5th place, it is Richard Petty, and 6th, Tim Richmond. There's a driver that we haven't mentioned earlier today. Tim Richmond now running in 6th place as Bodine moves alongside Darrell Waltrip in turns 3 and 4. Bodine with the inside groove. Here they come out of turn number 4 onto the main straightaway. It's a side-by-side battle. Darrell Waltrip with just the slight advantage over Bodine as they cross the start-finish line. But Jeff now has the lead going into turn number 2.
Some more paper-thin racing coming out of turn number 4. It's been a turn of excitement and thrills. I was a little surprised to see Waltrip to hang right in there, but I think that's an indication of how much confidence some of these Southern stock car drivers now have in Jeff Bodine. Earlier in the season, I think one of them would have thought twice about doing that, but Waltrip very confident about the move that Jeff Bodine would or would not make. He obviously felt he knew exactly what Jeff was going to do, and it was one exciting lap once again here at Atlanta.
We are 84 laps laps into this race, and we are in a situation here that we can see the crowd. And I tell you, there are several thousand people who have not yet sat down since the start of this race, watching the tremendous action, with Bodine leading and Morgan Shepherd, the pole sitter, now in second position. Here is Dick Bergeron.
Well, there's a great deal of frantic activity going on in the garage area right now. They just towed Dale Earnhardt's car in. It has 4 flat tires. They're in the process of changing all 4 tires. Dale has got his helmet back on. He's strapping back in. They're hoping to get back out again. Earnhardt has got a special motivation for getting back onto the racetrack. He's about to pick up an extra dependent. This guy's getting married next weekend.
And the weekend after that, Dale will be competing in the final race of the 1982 Winston Cup season at Riverside International Raceway, the race that will obviously decide who the winner of the Winston Cup is for 1982. Bodine, Shepherd, and Petty, 1, 2, 3 on the racetrack in turn number 4 at Atlanta.
Earnhardt, by the way, has had a good season. He's number 4 ranked in terms of total dollars and number 3 in the number of total laps led. Earnhardt, always a charger, likes to run up near the front. And though he's taken a back seat on laps led to Allison and Waltrip, but then again, who hasn't this year? Earnhardt is first in that class, I guess, behind that leading duo.
6 cars are in the lead draft. We have 20 cars on the same lap. Morgan Shepherd running in second position. In third place is Richard Petty. Running fourth is Darrell Waltrip. In fifth place is Bill Elliott. And in sixth position, Tim Richmond. Then a little bit of racetrack before we get back to Neil Bonnet and Joe Ruttman, who are in fourth position.
Just to put everything into perspective, here are the recent winners of this race. Bonnet, we told you at the top of the show, has won 2 of the last 3. Cal Yarborough sandwiched in there in 1980. Donnie Allison, the winner in 78. Waltrip won in 77. Dave Marcus in 1976.
I'm back.
Buddy Baker came home first in a Ford in 1975. Richard Petty
Holy
in
moly.
74. David Pearson
Whoa.
in 1973.
Dale Earnhardt has gotten the tires changed on that car and goes back in competition. So Dale Earnhardt, who is
Man, you gotta pay attention all the time. You can't, like, dilly-dally in the traffic lanes of those race cars. I'm telling you, they're moving when they're going out, and they're moving even faster when they're coming in. Because, honestly, when you're going 100 and 200 miles an hour out there, and you pull into a pit area going 20 or 30, feels like they're crawling. And sometimes they come in at 30 or 40. You know? Especially if they're trying to coast back to the garage or something.
Really showing some speed here today. He has been running up front the second half of the season. It seems as though the bigger the racetrack, the better Jeff Bodine does. He has performed well at the Talladega Speedway, make that the Alabama International Motor Speedway at Talladega, also well at the big track down at Daytona. This, of course, is not a 2-mile racetrack, but Bodine has really been quick here today. Without a doubt, a candidate for victory, as he himself predicted.
Well, you have to have confidence in your fellow drivers traveling at the speeds they are here today. And we asked Jeff Bodine if he handles drivers differently.
Definitely, and this is part of the experience that you get by racing each week. You get to learn what different drivers do in different situations, how they handle themselves in the race car when they get into a situation, and when you come up behind them, you can make your move on the knowledge that you know what they're going to do. And sometimes they don't do exactly what you think they're going to do, and that's when you have a problem. But the more you run with people, the more you learn how they think, and it just makes it a whole lot easier when you're running close with them.
I might have a little bit of stutter. I'm going to open this database again because I'm just curious who the number 50 car was owned by, and the database will tell me that. It's familiar, and I'm thinking it's a New England team maybe, and I want to see.
And we will
browse
have it
by
for you at
driver.
7:30 tonight Eastern Time and 4:30 Pacific Time.
As we go back and look at some of the action in 6th, 7th, and 8th, you think the leaders are running close. Here's a group of cars that has been nose to tail, door to door.
I'm looking up Jeff Bodine. I worked for Jeff Bodine, actually. 1997.
The group right now. Remember, Neil had slowed earlier. Perhaps they've solved their problem. There is Tim Richmond.
Second half of the year, I think, right after Bristol, when Pat Tryson quit. Pat Tryson's wife was his scorer. I said spotter. It's scorer. I was the scorer.
About
after Bristol till Phoenix. I didn't go to Atlanta. Well, I went to Atlanta, but I didn't score. I think I went with Mom and Dad.
We'd like to congratulate Tom Sneva on a great year-end victory at the Phoenix International Raceway. Of course, Rick Mears was the champion of this year. He had a great season. Gordy Johncock with those 2 500-mile race victories. Also very successful. He told us that he wouldn't trade the year with Rick Mears for anything because even though he wasn't champ, he won the big one, the Indianapolis 500.
That Phoenix kart race was held yesterday. Tom Sneva the winner. Tom was also a winner on ESPN earlier this year at the Milwaukee State Fairgrounds. Congratulations to Tom, the victor yesterday, and to Rick Mears, 1982 national champion for championship auto racing teams. This is Neil Bonnet in car number 21. He has 11 Winston Cup career victories, including a win earlier this year on the Winston Cup circuit at Charlotte, North Carolina. The leader continues to be Jeff Bodine. Running in second position is Morgan Shepherd. Third place belongs to Richard Petty. Fourth is Darrell Waltrip. Fifth, Bill Elliott. Sixth is Neil Bonnet. Then Tim Richmond and Joe Rettman. The spin up in turn number 2. That is the number 86 car driven by Darrell Sage from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. The L car Chevrolet. Darrell, a young driver, started 29th in the race today. Spinning over in turn number 2. The caution flag is out.
Well, Darrell Sage, as we watch the leaders race back to the caution flag, or caution flag at the start-finish line, it is to say. The leaders in NASCAR racing have an opportunity to hold their position and actually race for it. Here they come down the front stretch. Bodine, oh, he gets a gift from Morgan Shepherd. Morgan says, go ahead, Jeff.
Marty Robbins, who earlier brought out a yellow with a spin over in the same vicinity of the racetrack, is back out there. And, of course, we told you earlier that Dale Earnhardt, who was involved in the Yarborough accident, is also back out there in competition.
I'm on the Bodine
page. Car number 50 slowed now under yellow on the backstretch.
Another driver who's been having his problems. Matter of fact, 2 of our potential front runners here, Benny Parsons and Ron Bouchard. Bouchard was back in the garage area for about 10 laps, so Ronnie is out of contention for victory as well as leading today. Benny Parsons has been in the pits a couple times under the green flag. By the way, for those of you aficionados at home of NASCAR racing, remember that Ron Bouchard won at Talladega in 1981. Any idea how many laps Ron Bouchard has led in 1982? 1. Absolutely correct. Just 1. A little disappointed, although they've had a great year with winning dollars. They have not had an unsuccessful year, but they would have liked to run near the front a little more often.
It is pit stop time once again as we have about 25 cars moving into the pit lane for their
83 he'll run up front a lot. They'll get it all together. Who owns that 50? I'm still looking.
Jeff Bodine, work still being done on his cars. They're changing rubber now on the left side of the car. Fuel has already been put in. Jeff Bodine in for pit stop, as is Darrell Waltrip, and they are also changing the tires on the left side of that
November
car.
7th was the day of this race. Cliff Stewart. Okay, that is basically in, I believe, in Northern or something. Winston West. Okay. I don't know. Cliff Stewart.
Seconds on the Bodine stop, and as you call it, Bob, considerably longer than
I think that's
Morgan Shepherd, Levi Garrett car pit stop, but at this
Busch
point,
North
not a big
stuff.
factor.
Maybe.
Down to the pit area and Dick Berggren.
Well, right now, Dale Earnhardt is sitting in the pit area, and he's talking to crew chief Bud Moore. They just did a real quick and dirty chassis adjustment. They looked underneath the car. They're talking over what they're going to want to do at this point. That was, in fact, a real wild ride that he took earlier, and Bud Moore just said, park it behind the wall. It's a shame, but the day is over.
I did not know Bodine ran a coal car in February 1982. Because Dick Bear, well, no, that's the owner of New Hampshire. He drove a car for Dick Bear in that race. And I remember he crashed out early. It says he finished last, or 42nd, last-ish.
Eastern time and 5 Pacific time.
Pit's been beat.
I get looking in this database. It makes you saw me. Like, if you haven't watched the beginning of the stream, go back and watch the beginning once I put it to publish, or I'll put it up on YouTube.
Look at Ron Bouchard
I showed
now
you.
on the racetrack inside the current leader, Morgan Shepherd. A fellow who's a familiar name
lap
on
down.
the NASCAR trail snuck in some lead laps. Dave Marcus, for the 10th time this year, has led a race. Dave and the sponsor of the week, the Buck Stove Company. Dave Marcus getting those 5 points and leading his 10th race of the year. One of the real consistent competitors.
It's only
He has
3
finished
cars.
More races
4
than
cars.
everybody else except Buddy Arrington.
Dave Marcus,
Laps
of
down,
course, the
5
winner of a race we
cars.
telecast for you from Richmond, Virginia
6,
earlier
7,
this
8,
year, a
9,
rain-shortened
10,
event.
11,
Pace car is in. The
12
green
are
flag is
left
back
down.
out. We're racing once again.
Interesting. Because back then, they always start single file, but the lap cars go to the inside because they must race to get their lap back. But Lucky Dog was so much better. I mean, it saved a lot of. We had a lot of accidents under cautions racing back that could have been sketch. I don't think we ever had any deaths racing back to the flag, thank goodness. Now, J.D. Stacy will be the sponsor in the beginning of the year of Ronnie's car, but I noticed it wasn't on it.
Just a little bit going down the front stretch. Shepard still not
Oh
totally
crap, I
under
missed
control.
this.
Richmond on the inside.
Yeah, I was going
They were stacked 3 abreast coming off of 4 where there was only room for 1 car, but somehow everybody managed to keep
kept
it under
looking at it,
control.
but then I got into the database and I got all discombobulated.
Kyle Petty in
Okay,
second
let's
position.
look.
Here is the leader,
Let's
Tim
do it on
Richmond,
that.
who won at Riverside,
Man, that sounds like somebody that
California
owned a
earlier this year.
modified.
They head for Riverside 2 weeks from today for the
I almost
final
think
race
Ricky
of the Winston Cup season. Jeff
Some
Bodine now moving to the inside.
Gosh,
as they
that's
head
just
off
a
of the main
familiar
straightaway
name. I'm
into
gonna
turn
Google
number
it
1
at
once
some
again. Bodine and Tim Richmond running side by side. Bodine now the slight advantage coming off of the second turn and onto the backstretch.
I think we've seen perhaps the most from Bodine, although you never know about Allison and Waltrip. You always wonder exactly what are these guys holding back, but we've seen at least 10 different drivers move to the vanguard, the number 1 position, but most consistently, it's been Bodine.
Dick Berggren is with driver Dale Earnhardt.
Dale, it was a rough ride, wasn't it?
I don't know. You know, Gale blew the engine there, and I got out of the oil, but he started to spin, and he clipped the left rear and blew the tire, and it spun me around and blew both front tires. So it sat down on the chassis, and they couldn't get us towed in quick enough to get the tires back on and get going back in the race. We went back out after we got all the tires back on it, and it just didn't drive right. And Bud said with so many laps down, he'd rather park it than, you know, take a chance of tearing on up. Being out at the points like we are, you know, it's not really much use. Except, you know, I like to finish it. The car running good and everything, and you know, I like to finish the race and everything with Wrangler.
Dale Earnhardt, a mighty disappointed young man.
The Spectrum Furniture Pontiac leads this race with Jeff Bodine behind the wheel. Kyle Petty is in second
I'm
position.
looking at
Now
the
running
stats.
third is Darrell Waltrip.
Ronnie
Fourth is,
will only
Neil
complete
Cronin,
99
and,
laps in
Waltrip now
total,
moves into second position,
which will place
moving
him
to the inside of Kyle
32nd
Petty, and
in
Neil
this
Cronin
race.
also goes to the inside around Petty. And here they come off of the 4th turn now. Richard Petty is moving
And it
up
says
right
engine.
alongside his son,
So
Kyle,
he
into
come back
turn
out.
number 1.
Remember they said it was skipping. And they worked on some things and they sent him back out, but it looks like it could expire. Because we're, gosh, not even a third in. Now, see, their races used to be really super, super long.
There's Jeff Bodine in the upper right-hand corner of your screen.
Bodine's not going to win it
Just
either.
about a half a lap to the leaders, but look where he is now. He's running in second position. Although Bodine, there's Bonnet going
He's
by
going to
that
lose
white car.
20,
Bodine is put about 10 car lengths between himself and
22
the rest
laps.
of the field. Just
No, more
about a
than
third
that.
of the way through this 320 lap race.
28 is the full laps. And Bodine will run 302, so something will happen to Bodine, too. It's a very, very long race. I mean, I don't know if the kids these days could handle this. And you've driven the 87s, you know, and I said this earlier. These cars beat you up. I mean, they wore kidney belts and stuff to keep them, because their back would hurt for days after racing and stuff, like the flanks, you know, because of the kidneys.
Has this been a competitive
I don't know
race?
that these kids could handle racing these things. That's maybe why people were fully grown before they started racing. physically. That's the one thing I worry about with the little kids racing nowadays, though. To be honest, I don't think that physically your bones and muscles and ligaments and brain and all that doesn't really develop until your early 20s. Like, physiologically. I wonder how many hits these kids are going to take on their brain and not end up like Muhammad Ali or something. You know what I'm saying? That's my biggest concern is the young kids. They're so freaking good and the eye-hand coordination, everything like that, and smoothness and just that ability to, you know, be aware of their surroundings that comes being that young. But physiologically, I just worry the damage they're doing to their physical body. And time will tell whether we got to, you know, be more cautious. Head injuries bother me.
Everywhere on the racetrack, these are the first three cars. Jeff Bodine in car number 50. In second position is
This
the
is
number
quite a
21 of Neil
rundown of
Bonnet.
this race.
And in third place is Kyle Petty.
As we told you earlier,
Unfortunately, Earnhardt wrecked out early.
in the past couple of decades, there's been like a new winner.
He finishes 34th.
Could it be
Accident lap 85.
Well, we'll see what his crew chief thinks of that from Dick Bergeron.
Now I'm going to show you something else. This has the pay on it after they stop talking.
Jeff Bodine in the pit area watching his driver lead this competition.
Now, this here is 1982. Ronnie Bouchard finishes 32nd. But 1981, he was a winner, so he was on the winner's circle plan. So look what the payout is, the difference. This is the payout. When you're on the winner's circle, Earnhardt's payout, even though he finished 34th, everybody else got like $700, $1,800, $2,500. But you can tell the ones that were on the winner's circle. Jody Ridley, $8,200. Ronnie, $9,300. Earnhardt, $8,300. See, the winner's circle made you more available for a team to take you up into a next level. And I believe Ron, after Race Hill Farm closes, will go to the Dingman Brothers program that my dad helped start. He was working there in IMSA, which we'll get into that in the next few weeks. But like I said, I'm going back to the very beginning. I covered the early stuff in the database. Of course, there's more modified in between, but we'll get to the IMSA. Just trying to deep dive into some stuff I've skimmed over in other stuff. But that's what the winner's circle did. That was something that was highly regarded. I don't know if they have that anymore. It made a driver worth more to a team so he could move up.
This yellow stripe on the lower portion of your back bumper.
The average speed of the race at this point is 126.355 miles an hour. The leader is Jeff Bodine. Second is Neil Bonnet. We'll be back in just a moment. Back at Atlanta International Raceway in Hampton, Georgia. Top Rank Boxing on November 11th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time and 5:30 Pacific Time from Brownwood Coliseum in Brownwood, Texas. Steve Albert and Al Bernstein will give you the round-by-round and blow-by-blow description of the junior welterweight contest between Gene Hatcher and Anthony Bryan.
Also the site, and we have a spin in turn number 4. It's Marty Robbins right in front of Travis Tiller. Robbins on the high side touches the outside retaining wall, smoking down in front of the field, and Neil Bonnet has to take evasive action. Bonnet and Allison head to pit road to avoid Marty Robbins.
Well, it was a good thing there was pit road there because those two drivers had to duck to the inside of the racetrack. They're not making a pit stop, but just using the pit lane as an
Oh, tell me I'm live still. She just hit my mouse.
Marty Robbins in car number 22, the country music star, who is the second Grand National race this season.
My mouse, I
and
was
who has
making
been
sure
involved in his
she
second
will jump off the
incident
bed and
of
close
day
my windows
today.
like that
There's Marty
when my
already
mouse goes
sideways in the
flying.
middle of turn number 4.
If it lands wrong.
With Robinson. Now watch for the leaders from the right-hand side of your screen.
I thought she
It'll
was
be
going to lay
Bonnet
down
and
there and chew her
Allison.
bone.
We've had another car spin on this caution flag.
Yay, a bone!
Bodine also goes down in front of Robbins and uses
She is
the
like
pit
a
road. There
little
goes Neil
Springer.
Bonnet and
Like, she's
Bobby
like
Allison.
So several cars taking the evasive action
Tigger.
down to the pit area.
That's
Now
what her
they
name
come to
should
make
have
their
been.
routine pit
She
stop.
is so
Richard
flippin'
Petty is coming
bouncy.
in, so is Jeff Bodine, and so
And
is
she's
Tim Richmond, along
boom,
with Neil Bonnet,
like
Kyle
you
Petty,
walking her and
Morgan
all of a sudden,
Shepherd,
boom,
Bobby Allison, and
like
Darrell
she-
Waltrip.
There's Travis Tiller. He was the driver
She's
who
like-
spun on
like-
the caution flag. He was involved in the incident initially
And
with
she's like a
Robbins.
trigger.
As we look at Richard Petty, Wade Thornburg
Into a direction, like she'll-
the all-time
I've never walked a dog that did this before. It's the craziest thing.
racing.
Richard
I
Petty
think she
getting
just
a
kind
change
of
of
hyper.
tires now
I've got
the
them
left
on
side
a
of the car,
grain-free
as is
food,
Morgan
and
Shepherd,
apparently
our
it really
pole sitter
stinks,
for
so I'm going to
this
have to bring
race.
that
Car
into my
number
room because
98.
it
So
was
a
making
lot
my
of
son
pit action underway
yak
here.
this
Jeff
morning.
Bodine is moving out, so is Darrell Waltrip. Now
That all
Morgan
added
Shepherd is
to the
away, so is
drama.
Neil Bonnet, Dave Marcus, and the others filing out of the pit area.
Stacy
Tim Richmond
back,
pulls
man,
away from
epic.
the J.D. Stacy pit area. Dale Inman, of course, the crew chief there. We think we've got it unofficially, at least
Okay,
from
we
our
didn't
vantage point. We'll be
lose
checking with
no
NASCAR's
streak.
going to confirm this as we look at Joe Ruttman in the pits. We believe that Harry Gant has made up the lap that he lost earlier in the race. So good news for all of the Taylorsville, North Carolina fans.
Buddy Baker also in the pit area in that Rainier racing car. I believe you're absolutely right, Larry. He was just about a half a car length ahead of Richard Petty when they crossed the start-finish line, and I think that will allow him to make up the lap that he lost. Here's the accident that occurred after the Marty Robbins spin.
Yeah, this is the spin on the caution flag. Travis Tiller not just losing control. The right front tire had gone flat on this race car, and I think Travis came down the backstretch. He knew he had damage. He was headed for the pit area anyway, but as he went into turn number 3, the tire went down suddenly, and it put him into a spin at maybe only about 80 or 90 miles an hour.
Well, here's the driver we just talked about a minute ago, Harry Gant, who we believe is now back on the lead lap. His crew is changing all 4 tires on that car and filling it with fuel. So Harry Gant, driving the 711 Skoll Bandit Buick, is in the pit area for service. And the service now completed, and he's quickly away.
If you're an ESPN fan, we talked about that top-ranked boxing card coming up at Brownwood Coliseum in Brownwood, Texas. You might recall that it was also the site of the strongest man in the NFL competition, which was won by Rick Danelli a little while ago on ESPN. Now, a couple of people who are also involved in this broadcast, Bob, I think are going to be going back to Brownwood. Producer and director, what did you say their names were? I think we had that on a sheet here somewhere.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Terry Ligner and Mike Wells, I believe, are their names. But anyway, on the racetrack, Bobby Allison, and now Terry Labonte is back up there among the leaders. Jeff Bodine running there in 3rd position. Actually, the leader of the race is I believe it is Bobby Allison. Ron Bouchard's car is the first behind the pace car, but he is not on the lead lap.
And Bouchard's was smoking quite a lot the last few laps. So Allison back up to the front. Labonte runs in
I
second.
was
He has
right
had so
in my
many second-place
prediction
finishes.
that
He'd like
they're
to
going
win
out just to get a
here
few
this afternoon.
laps. Oh, it's smoking already. I can see it.
This is the Atlanta
Out the right
Journal
port for
500.
sure.
Our coverage continues after this. We have ESPN salutes all over this racetrack, and we thank you fans for watching our Auto Racing 82 coverage. We'd like to
That's
remind
cute
you that
idea.
at 7:30 tonight, the LSU-Alabama game, 7:30 Eastern Time.
Gosh, I need to
4:30
trade my
Pacific time,
car
we
in.
present a
As soon as I get
tremendous
that
lineup
little
of college
loan, I
football
have a
games
little
this
personal
82
loan on
season.
it.
Notre Dame and
Paid off.
Pittsburgh
I will
Monday, November
trade it
8th
in
at
and get
8
something
p.m.
fuel
Eastern
efficient
time
so
and
I can
5
travel
Pacific time.
and see
And
mom
the
and
NBA
dad.
tonight, followed by the
Travel
exciting NBA
to
game between the
Stafford
Portland Trailblazers
and
the
travel
Los
to
Angeles
Hickory.
Lakers. That will
Hickory
be
opens
tonight
this
at
weekend.
10:20
Come
p.m.
hell or high water, I want to go
we
so
are
bad.
deep in the heart of Dixie.
I was already
And
looking at
talking about
directions.
NCAA football, you
How
saw
far?
the LSU Tigers name up there. There's another candidate.
My son
for
said
the
we can
national
go
championship honors.
if we don't
They're
want
still
to eat
undefeated,
this
although
month.
they do have that one tie, which blemishes their record.
We'd be in a
for
better position to go
1982.
next month, but it's opening day, you know, it's like a big deal. It's like spring is sprung.
Well, he's definitely not wide open,
Look
but
at
we're
you.
doing the best we can to give our car owner a birthday present today, Bill Gardner in Connecticut.
Is it his birthday today?
Today's Bill Gardner's birthday, right?
think he's talking about Garner Foods.
Well, we want to stay in front as much as possible.
And he got involved with the Texas Pete. That was Garner Foods. And Bama Jellies. It's Texas Pete, but it's really a North Carolina company.
That adjustment helped a little. We need to make it a little bit.
Learned a little about Texas Pete and Garner Foods with the Nemecheks.
By a change of tires. Gary Nelson trying to get his car under a birthday present with a victory here today at Atlanta.
It's obviously helped because Bobby Allison is in the lead and maintaining it right now over Jeff Bodine. 15 cars are involved in the lead freight train as they come off of turn number 4 with Bobby Allison in the lead, Jeff Bodine second, Richard Petty third, Darrell Walter fourth, and Tim Richmond in 5th position.
You just had a very intriguing look into what goes on in the pits during the running of the race. Gary Nelson on the radio to his driver, Bobby Allison. We really would like to thank Gary for all the cooperation he has extended to us in the last couple of years on ESPN. That's about the equivalent of letting somebody into your bedroom at home and to allow a television interviewer talk to you while you're trying to conduct a conversation with your driver on the racetrack at better than 160 miles per hour.
Well, I mentioned at the end of about 60 laps that there were some race fans here in the main grandstand below us who had not sit down for the entire race, and now we have completed 129 laps and they are still standing here. It is an absolutely unbelievable situation. They don't just jump up when the races begin. They are on their feet constantly. There you can see them saluting the drivers as they compete out there on this 1.5-mile racetrack.
Not only standing up, but they cheered just about every single lap. We also would like to thank all the people throughout, particularly the 1982 season, who have supported ESPN racing. We have begun to get response from viewers all over the country. Good fans like Mike Justice out in Baylor University in Waco, Texas. Vince Wondrak, who has made an effort to contact all of us. We know we also have many race fans back in the Toledo, Fremont, Ohio area. And surprisingly enough, also I'd like to say hello to our friends north of the border. A lot of people watch us in the Sault Ste. Marie area and a little town about 40 miles east called Bruce Mines, Ontario. How about that?
We are seeing some tremendous nose to tail.
See the STP car there? The red almost compromised.
Bobby Allison and Richard Petty are side by side.
That was the compromise paint job that Richard talked about when STP insisted on the car being red, and he knew his fans wanted the Petty blue, so that was the compromise. They were able to splash a little Petty blue here and there.
And this is the kind of racetrack that he competes best on. Richard Petty in the lead, looking for victory number 1 in 1982.
Boy, we just can't oversell, Bob, how tough this one is to
I almost
call.
thought P3 was going to hit P2.
Move to the front time after time again, and nobody is able to pull away. And I think it is more than just a draft situation. Certainly the draft always helps in a super speedway, but we have seen muscle from 12, 13, maybe even as many as 15 cars at various times during this race. I'll tell you, we don't have a lot of problems mechanically in the last.
I chose this race just because the clarity for 82 was better than most.
Tim Richmond, a former Rookie of the Year at the Indianapolis 500.
I'm still looking for Dover, the second Dover, the one I was at.
Carolina started this race in 18th position, qualifying at 163.
Could have been 83 too. Now I got to figure out how old my son was. He was like
about various
probably 6, 9 months
career,
old.
but also talked to
6 months old, but he was big.
aspirations of becoming a possible actor.
He was big.
Well, yeah, I do. Hal Needham and Burt Reynolds have kind of intrigued me on their occupations, and which we all know what those are. And,
So I have
and I
photos
think maybe
of
this
him
winter,
there.
in the off season when we're not racing, I'm going to try to go to some acting classes and try to get in that business someday. You know, I can't drive race cars all my life, and I'd like to have something to look forward to or try to make a living at after I get done with racing.
Now Tim Richmond is moving now into 6th place, going to the inside of Neil Bonnet there in turn number 1. Tim Richmond is 6th in the Atlanta Journal 500.
We We started 40 cars here today.
I didn't know he was
19
thinking of
those
going
40
into
are
acting.
still on the lead lap. In total, there were almost 60 cars.
There's probably quite a bit of display of Tim Richmond stuff in the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame in Rolling Hills Road, Mooresville, North Carolina, across from the old Penske shop, across from one of the Roush engine shops. I helped start that. I was a volunteer at the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame in '95 when they had just first opened, and they were just a lobby with a lot of photos and a few fire suits and a little area in the back with some cars and Tim Flock's car. And Tim Richmond's parents lived in the area and brought his fire suit and stuff like that. So I do believe there's a Tim Richmond display still in there at the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame in Mooresville, North Carolina, out on Rolling Hills Road.
They went into that race,
a little brick building
and
across from
they came out of the
old Rusty Wallace Penske shop.
I know you and Dick Berggren have been going on about
Roush
the way the points are awarded in NASCAR, but that was a very unique situation last weekend.
Well, it's those points for
the one that was the old Moroso.
We have a spin in turn number 4.
When I was working there, it was Moroso and Penske across the street.
The outside retaining wall. He drifts down into the apron, and Travis Tiller is looking over his shoulder again.
And it happened in the same spot in the racetrack as his previous spin. Travis gets the car going once again and will make another lap around before coming in to have the tires checked for flat spots. Travis Tiller bringing out the yellow caution flag for the second time this afternoon.
Well, Travis has been in and out of Grand National Racing since 1973. He was an aviator in the Marines. He also boxed for 8 years. So talk about all that boxing on ESPN. Travis Tiller, I'm sure, is a fan of that.
Travis catches up with the field. This is what happened just a few minutes ago, and you can see some more great evasive driving by several competitors. Travis bringing that car to the inside of the racetrack, finally gathering it up. And as the leaders make another pit stop to gather in some more fuel, we will take this break and be right back for more live coverage from Atlanta, Georgia. Pit work continues on the Benny Parsons car, the Wyman and Bruden Buick. And now Benny moves away. This most recent series of pit stops, mostly for fuel, although there were a few tires changed down there.
Benny is another one of the drivers who's suffering a drought in terms of wins, as is Buddy Baker, David Pearson, Richard Petty, Terry Labonte. Benny Parsons' last victory came on a short track at Richmond, September of 1981. As we mentioned earlier today, it doesn't look like Benny is going to win here today at Atlanta. It will be tough for him to perform well on the road course at Riverside. It'll be the first time since 1975 that Benny Parsons has not won a race in Grand National competition.
And Harry Gant in car number 33 made up the lap, remember, that he lost a while ago, and has now moved up into 5th position. So the yellow that came out several laps ago for an earlier incident, Harry was able to make up the lap that he had lost and has now moved back up into the top 5.
And Bob, surprisingly enough, we now get word that Benny Parsons has gotten back on the lead lap. Well, I'm sure that Parsons
of the race that I went to in Dover.
As many times
it got me thinking.
So if that is indeed the case, that Benny is on the lead lap, that's some accomplishment.
Back down to Dick Berggren in the pit area.
I just talked to Morris Petty, Richard Petty's brother, crew chief on that automobile. He says Richard is running flat out. He does say, however, the car is running extremely well, and they are very hopeful that Richard is going to be able to break a winless streak that goes all the way back to August of 1981. Car running very, very well right now.
Average speed of the race as we are slowed by yellow is 126.020 miles an hour. Richard Petty, the king of Grand National Stock Car Racing, is involved with many ideas and promotions, and the people at the National Retinitis Pigmentosa Foundation have asked us to salute him. He is the honorary sports chapter for the National Retinitis Pigmentosa Foundation and is very active in raising money for that cause.
There's the legendary Richard Petty on your screen. He's to the outside right now of young Mark Martin. A frustrating year for Mark, but he's picked up some sponsorship dollars here late in the year. The Jolly Rancher Candy people from out in Colorado, great supporters of automobile racing. They've been involved in all sorts of racing. Now down the side of Mark Martin's race car.
That'd be a pretty car.
Green flag.
The two abreast start that is characteristic of Grand National competition. The fast cars to the outside and the slow cars to the inside gives the faster drivers an opportunity to pass without getting into any problem in turn number 1. Down the backstretch they go on lap number 141. It is Richard Petty in the lead with Tim Richmond right behind.
We've had 23 lead changes. Here are the drivers who so far have appeared to be capable of winning. Listen to this list. It's long. Shepard, Labonte, Waltrip, Jeff Bodine, spectacularly so, Bill Elliott, Neil Bonnet, Bobby Allison, Joe Ruttman, Richard Petty, Kyle Petty was up in second for a long time, and Tim Richmond, who has led. Add to that list now Harry Gant. Gant has moved into 5th position after being 1 lap down in the first 100 laps of this race.
Great close racing. Again, it looked like that Petty and Richmond's cars touched over in turn number 2. Now they get strung out just a little bit, if you can consider a half a car length strung out. Richard Petty leads them off of turn number 4. It is Tim Richmond right behind him. Morgan Shepherd is in 3rd. Now Harry Gant has moved up into 4th position, and Kyle Petty is in 5th.
I'll tell you about in this race, a half a car length lead is a big lead. It gives you an opportunity to take a sigh of relief and maybe look around for just a split second while you're on that very short quarter-mile straightaway, be it the front stretch or the back stretch, while you're on it for maybe 3 or 4 seconds at better than 150 miles an hour.
5th, 6th, and 7th
It's
position.
amazing 1982 is this clear. I mean, I've found races in 1983 that are almost not visible. These look way better on the phone. I've got it blowed up to a monitor size.
Lead lap from Richard Petty, who now leads to Rodney Combs, the driver out of the Cincinnati, Ohio area originally, who served about a 15-year apprenticeship on the dirt tracks in the Midwest. He's been running a J.D. Stacy car in the minor leagues, if you will, for the last 5 or 6 years. And Combs getting a chance at Grand National here this weekend, and he still runs in the lead lap. But up front, look at the freight train, like a squadron of fighters flying around this racetrack. There are at least 12 cars in the lead draft again. Nobody able to run away.
These are some photos on my Facebook. If you wanted to follow me on Facebook, it's my family. I do post a lot of racing stuff, to be honest. But this is the era. And I know it's just a photo of a photo. This is my son Chris. So it was 83 that I went to Dover, because he's older. He was born in June, so July, August, September. He was not 3 months. He was a year and 3 months here. So that's what I wanted to know. And that's Ronnie's wife holding Christopher. And that's Ronnie.
Perhaps in the next pit stop or the pit stop after that.
That's my mom holding my son Christopher, who's now 45.
Out of the engine, usually it's handling, chassis, and setup.
That's my mom.
4th position is Darrell Waltrip going to the inside of Tim Richmond. As they
That's
go
the
down
crew.
below us, it is Richard
All
Petty.
pushing out the 47. The J.D. Stacy totally all yellow. That's why I thought it was 82. Darrell Waltrip fueling up in the Mountain Dew car. I know they're blurry. These were Polaroids. This is what pit road looked like then. You didn't have your big pit boxes and all. You just had all your regular little Craftsman. Tires. Lots of tires.
What Harry Gant is doing is just driving that car extremely hard. He is just braving it up there, running that fast.
That's me?
On the 24 degrees of banking.
No, that's
now
my
off the bit
sister.
On to 5 degrees of banking down the quarter-mile back straightaway.
That's my sister,
3
Cindy.
cars challenging for first
And
position. Petty, Gant,
Chris
and
and
Jeff
Mom.
Bodine, and 3 others also right up in there, including Darrell Waltrip,
Jody
Tim
Ridley.
Richmond, and Jeff Bodine.
Dover 82 now. I'm going to have to change that. That's Dover.
Angels fear to tread. Again, really likes high bank racetracks. He
Bobby
likes to run right
Allison.
up along the wall as long as there's a fast groove up there. Here at Atlanta, that fast high groove.
Wait a minute. 82. Chris is born in 81. That is 82. What am I thinking? Yeah, it's 82. Dang. I almost thought myself. Terry Labonte. This is all the same. See, there's Terry. 55.
race, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th here. The competitors,
Is Benny Parsons,
Morgan Shepherd, Bill Elliott,
Darrell
Terry
and the
Labonte,
Blue Crew.
and Buddy Baker.
Bonnet, of course, will be leaving this car at the end of the season, as will Morgan Shepherd.
You can tell I was in the infield. I wasn't in the hot pits during the race and all that because I had a child. So we were just sitting outside. But we could get pictures pretty good. Like, I think I went out there to do this. That's Mom and Dad on pit road. Happy anniversary, Mom and Dad. 65 years yesterday in real life.
Jeff Bodine is in second position, and Richard Petty has fallen all the way back to fifth position.
Ronnie's team.
So in less than a half a lap, Richard Petty
As
goes
the
from
car.
first to fifth. Harry Gant takes over the
One of
lead.
the 5
Bodine is
racers.
second. Darrell Waltrip is third. Fourth is Tim Richmond, and fifth is Richard Petty.
3 seasons ago, as we look at Gant and Bodine,
That's outside
the
Pete Fiandaco's garage.
at Hickory, North Carolina.
And that's my dad's Hall of Fame t-shirt.
The late model sportsman and the modified ranks, Harry Gant and Jeff Bodine are now side by side, yellow flag.
I have a lot of photos. I can go through a lot of them
Well, that was a dead heat. That's going to be
at
tough
some
to
point,
call.
but they're all on Facebook. You just go on my Facebook. I don't think I have anything privacy protected because I'm nobody special. And all of that, I just rather share the racing, but it's under my same name, Tanya Kingus.
Across the finish line, absolutely side by side. And
If you look up Vic
don't quite
Kingus,
know
you'll see
exactly
it.
how we handle
Hello.
that situation, Bob. Early on, I doubt that they had the finish line camera
Welcome to
fired
racing.
up for photo finishes. But
Old
perhaps
racing,
everybody will feel as they come
1982.
around this time, everybody seems to be
My
moving
father
down
was
to the lowest
working
portion of
as the crew
racetrack,
chief
and
on the
that'll solve
number
problem.
47.
Pits, of course, will get that position. Yes, they are. They are.
They had
below.
already dropped out of the race with an engine failure. It's second to last race of the year. They are 8th in points. They're going to go to Riverside and I believe do well and maintain their 8th in points.
18 cars are moving in for another quick pit stop. This will
These are
again be
epic.
a
These
top
are
of
the
fuel
people that
situation in most cases. Although as we
made
look down below,
NASCAR
Darrell
great
Waltrip got
in the
some
early
quick fuel,
days.
5.6 seconds.
Grew the
moves
sport
back out.
really well.
However, tires are being changed on the Morgan Shepherd car. Also some new rubber on Jeff Bodine as Darrell Waltrip got only fuel and moves back out onto the racetrack. Harry Gant also moving back out there. So we are again under yellow.
Under a
And we look
caution
at the past
again.
winners of the Atlanta Journal 500. When we come back, more racing for you.
Long race.
We salute the fans from Evansville, Indiana. It is not a hot day by any means here in Atlanta. It's a nice sunshiny
halfway.
day. But there's always a problem with overheating.
Hour and a half
We
in
present
and it's a
the track
3-hour
back.
race. I ran an ad specifically because right now it's a caution. And then it'll skip for a while. I'll be able to skip them.
This is a specially designed ball valve. It is designed to connect to a water tank that can be pressurized up to 50 pounds of pressure. When you plug in that pressurized water tank into this valve, the water surges through the engine, even if the engine is running and red hot. You can even put a block sealant in the water, and what happens is 2 things. All of the overheated, the superheated old water is flushed out immediately. There's a valve over on the other side of the engine. Plus, the sealant that has been put into the water seals any cracks or breaks there might be in the water system. The entire water system can be changed in just 5 seconds.
There is Kyle Petty, number 42, the STP Pontiac. On the restart, Kyle got on the accelerator, but the engine coughed, and Kyle Petty's having serious mechanical problems. And also into the pit area is Ricky Rudd in car number 3, who was shown as the leader when the
This
green
is
came
a
out,
kind
but he
of
too had
technical
problems.
thing
And
that
now
I
they're changing
just
over on the
never
right side of the
realized.
Ricky
Now,
Rudd
as
car.
listening, they sound like they're running 180
The
headers.
caution flag comes out again. There in the pit area is the Richard Childress.
And I don't see any side pipes.
Machine of Ricky Rudd, still looking for that very elusive win number 1 in Grand National competition.
Like they
Now,
do
a
today.
very rapid fire succession caution flag.
So I wonder how the
Because if
exhaust
come in. If they do come in,
is
this will give
mounted.
Ricky Rudd an opportunity
That's
to
interesting.
pick up a lap. But I'll be a little surprised, Bob, if all of them duck in this time. We only went 2 laps.
All the car shows I've been to and seen the 47, I never actually crawled under.
Oil in turn number 1. As a matter of fact, it's reported
I will
all
next
around
time.
the racetrack by the NASCAR observers. So they're going to have have to clean that situation up. But Kyle Petty in car number 42 was looking pretty good on the racetrack.
Oh,
but
Kyle was able to
mechanical
run the
problems
opposite
sidelines
scheme, the
that
blue
STP
on
Pontiac.
red.
Well, knowing the fact that the oil now is all the way around the racetrack,
Richard had to run red.
This caution flag very lengthy.
I believe
That
is
will
how the story
influence the
went.
teams who are hoping to get some work done throughout the running of this race. For instance, the Harry Gant people, they may not be totally satisfied with that race car. Still looking for that vibration. You might expect them to come in
Okay,
again.
so we're halfway
This will give them
through.
another opportunity
Bathroom break,
under a caution flag
guys.
condition to
Snack
really
break.
examine that race car and maybe come up with a problem that
Grab a
has
piece of
eluded them all day
cheese.
long. But old Harry is just wrestling that thing. The guy used to pound nails for a living.
gonna take a
drive
quick
all
break.
afternoon and drive all night just to go racing. Now he does it, of course, professionally.
Pretty
He doesn't
car.
worry about building homes. Harry has been
There's the
wrestling that
spark.
machine
I
like
see
a
the
grizzly
exhaust.
bear.
No, that
Right
might
now,
be-
Harry's getting better at the race car. You know that, Bob?
Now Ricky Rudd changed tires on the right side, made a lap, now has come in to change tires on the left side and is back out there again. So 158 laps have been completed. The leader is Neil Bonnet. Second position belongs to Darrell Waltrip. Third is Jody Ridley, and in fourth position is Harry Gant.
We had some interesting entries, or at least drivers and teams who made the show here this weekend. Some of the drivers who did not
I'll
make
be in
every
the
one
chat.
of the races on the trail. Dick
Just
May
gonna walk away
qualified this
for a
race.
minute.
He got into Henley Gray's machine
Keep
and
my
put it
phone
into the
with
show,
me.
although he stepped aside for Joe Boer this morning, and Boer actually started the number 19 race car.
The following is not necessarily the views of ESPN or me or anybody else except Larry Nuber as he tries his hand at some editorializing.
What started innocently enough with this crew, this sponsor, has become an epidemic. Spreading quicker than race cars painted blue, green in the last couple of years, and the dreaded hood chevron stripe disease. Journalists like myself have kept it out of the media, fearing widespread panic. But about a month ago, Jimmy Means' crew came out of the closet, donning T-shirts that proclaimed to all they had become the WHO crew, victims of the feared WHO syndrome. But it's everywhere. There's the Uno crew, the O2 crew of Mark Martin, the 2 crew of Jim Stacy, also known as the Please Don't Sue crew, the Piedmont Airlines-sponsored Flu crew, the DKU for Ulrich crew, the Melling Tool crew. Of course, it started with the Do crew. Some are calling this the Cruel crew now because they're not letting anybody win. The Can Do crew, got to be Dale Earnhardt. Soon to become the I Do crew, it is said. Lake Speed's Yazoo Mowers crew. Warner Hodgson, the wealthy industrialist, supports the Wood brothers, and they comprise the Mogu crew. The MC Anderson. We're all through crew, and of course,
Oh,
next
there's
year,
some
that'll
big
breed the
stories
Brew
on
crew
that
as Tim
deal.
Brewer seeks
Oh,
employment
my
elsewhere. Harry Ranier and Cale
I was
Yarborough,
watching
they've
that
joined
stuff.
forces. They've become the brand new crew. Hal Needham has come out of Hollywood for Harry Gant and made the movie crew. Now, if Rod Carew had been a race driver instead of a baseball player, he, of course, would be the Carew crew. Earlier in the year, we had the Ballou crew. We had the Boer crew, not to be confused with the Hoosier crew. Of course, Kyle Petty's Boot Barn sponsored shoe crew, the Richard Petty Blue crew, the Terry Labonte We're Overdue crew, and the Ron Bouchard New England crew. But the list goes on and on and on. The Jeff Bodine Don't Be Cruel crew, the Buddy Arrington U crew, that's EWE, he uses Dodge Ram engine, you know. Pet Dairy sponsors Joe Ruttman, that's the Moo crew, the Buck Baker Driving School crew, the Junior Miller Taboo crew, the Bobby Allison I Wish It Would Come True crew, Junie Dunleavy, the Wish I Could Get a Win Through crew, and of course there's Morgan Shepherd, his car is backed by the Levi Garrett Chewing Tobacco people, that's the Chew crew, there's the Chattanooga Choo Choo crew, and my God, there's even the Zoo crew. So now we come to the end of the 1982 season. Pepsi-Cola announces that maybe it has an antidote for the disease. They may change the name of the car, but what will they bring us? The Sunkissed Kids, the Diet Riot, the Free Spirit? How about the Team? I think we could live with that one. Reporting for ESPN, I'm Larry Nuber.
And from all of us in the booth, a boo. More from Atlanta International Raceway, the Atlanta Journal 500 on your #1 auto racing network. Of some exciting sports action coming up for you on ESPN. Monday, November 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 Pacific Time. The Notre Dame-Pittsburgh college football game, a tremendous upset in that contest. Watch it tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. The LSU-Alabama game is at 7:30 tonight Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific Time. And then later tonight, we'll have the NBA tonight, followed by the Portland Trailblazers against the Los Angeles Lakers NBA game. That starts at 10:20 tonight, Eastern Time, and 7:20 Pacific Time. And then, of course, immediately following this race at 4 o'clock this afternoon, we'll have the WCT Finals, the Maryland Classic. So all kind of sports action coming up for you on ESPN later on today, tonight, and also tomorrow and tomorrow night. Stay with us for all this sports action. The race resumes at Atlanta, and Neil Bonnet is the leader with 162 laps completed. Neil Bonnet in the number 21 Warner Hodgson National Engineering Ford. Neil started this race in 7th place. He won the event last year, but again, the race is heating up over in turns number 3 and 4. As they come around, we'll clock off the top 4 for you. Neil Bonnet is going to be the leader. Running in 2nd position is Darrell Waltrip. 3rd is Jody Ridley in a nice show, and 4th is Harry Gant.
Well, Jody really hasn't shown the consistent speed to be able to continue to run up front. He has found himself in that position as a result of one of those warps from a caution flag. As we look at Terry Labonte, a man who has shown the ability to sort of set the pace here, the Billy Hagan-owned Stratograph number 44 car of Terry Labonte. He sits in the pits. The field is now moving to the 4th turn. Is he going to lose a lap, Bob?
Well, he could very easily as they're frantically trying to get the work done and send him on his way. He is out, but here comes the field down the main straightaway, and Terry Labonte is going to go a lap down.
So for Labonte, as we are now halfway through, every single lap around this 1.522-mile racetrack becomes the white flag. Terry Labonte has to make an attempt to lead as many laps as he possibly can, hoping that when the next caution flag comes out, and it's a pretty good bet there will be at least one more caution flag, hoping that when it comes out, he is the guy up front. You know how difficult that is with all the lead training that we've had here that we experienced annually at the Atlanta International Raceway. But for Labonte, only one thing is on his mind: get to the front and at least be there every time you come down the start-finish line.
Darrell Waltrip is the leader in the Mountain Dew Buick. Darrell from Franklin, Tennessee, going for his 2nd consecutive Winston Cup championship. Jody Ridley is on the outside, and in the pit area, Kyle Petty has moved over to where Dick Berggren is located. Dick?
I'm muted to eat peanuts.
And on that last restart, I guess the clutch finally did come out of it really all together, and it just rung the thing, and it turned so many RPMs, I guess it dropped the valve or blowed the thing up or something.
How does it look to you that Dad is running today?
Well, he's running super strong. He runs strong in practice, and right before we qualified, he runs super good. And I mean, you know, anytime he qualifies fairly good, then he's going to be good.
The battle between Bobby and Darrell, which is stronger in your opinion at this point?
I don't know. And I think that Bobby's a little bit stronger, really. It's a deal where he can come on and go on off away from everybody. I mean, you know, he started in the back of the pack and went on up through there. As far as Darrell goes, Darrell seems to be having a struggle to hang on right now. But if Junior and Darrell work like they always do, they'll come on at the end of the race.
And back up top to you. An unfortunate situation here for Jeff Bodine, who led this race and was looking very good. They're changing the rubber on the right side of the car. We'll see if he loses a lap. The pack is coming through turn number 4, and they're going to change rubber on the left side of the car, too. So Jeff Bodine, who is looking like he could win this race, is a lap down to the field.
Well, they obviously felt they had a major problem with the handling of the car. It may have been nothing more than a bad set of tires. By a bad set, we don't necessarily mean that the tires were bad, that they were, you know, feared, but the pack there, you see there going down the backstretch, they are a half a lap
I like
ahead
raw nuts. That's why I buy the peanut in the shell, because they're raw.
A lap and a half ahead as they went all the way around.
Just for all the goodness in it.
By a bad set of tires, we simply mean they weren't matched properly. It may have set up a vibration of the car or made the car just too loose for Jeff to stay out on the racetrack.
Unfortunate situation, because because Jeff Bodine is the leader, of course, in the Rookie of the Year point standings and had hoped to win his first race here today. Here are the Grand National point standings, however, as we have completed 28 laps. For victory in this particular event, you receive 175 points. Second position pays 170 points. Third, 165. Fourth, 160. And fifth place pays 155 points. But there are other points available. We'll talk more about that later. Sixth position, 150.
Breakdown goes to 4 apart, then 3 apart.
138, and 10th, 134.
Interestingly enough, that 37 points difference between Allison and Waltrip is about 10 positions. You also get extra points, 5 of them, for leading 1 lap. That's all it takes. You also get 5 extra points for leading the most number of laps, which is what Bobby Allison did the last race in the trail at Rockingham. He led the most laps. That gave him additional 5 points, which counterweighted the 5 points that he lost to Waltrip because he finished second to Darrell in the race. Those 37 points, again, that's about 10 positions. So Allison has to beat Darrell Waltrip by approximately 5 positions in each of the remaining 2 races to catch Waltrip and become the champion.
All right, this is the way they're running now. Darrell Waltrip is the leader. Harry Gant second. Richard Petty is third. Fourth is Jody Ridley. There is Jody Ridley at number 90. There is Jody in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. He started in 17th position and is currently running in 4th. Right behind him in 5th position is Neil Bonnet. And in 6th is the number 88 of Bobby Allison. The new leader off of the backstretch is Harry Gant in car number 33. Got a good jump coming off of turn number 2 and took over
The white V in front of the windshields was the Stacy pack, kind of J.D. Stacy's team all had that, so you could kind of pick them out which ones he had his name on.
As they come down the main straightaway and complete lap number 173. Harry Gant, Darrell Waltrip, Richard Petty, and Jody Ridley.
Harry Gant, who spent quite a number of years in apprenticeship on the short tracks of the South, is a guy who finally won in the 1982 season. He had that amazing streak of top 5 and a whole lot of second-place finishes, particularly in 1981, but it never seemed to bother Harry or any other members of the crew. They remained absolutely unflappable through it all. They knew that the victories were going to start coming their way, and they have become one of the very few, only 4 multiple race winners in this, the current 1982 season. Of course, the Skoal Bandit people, the American Tobacco people, have become great supporters of automobile racing in general. They put a lot of time and effort behind the promotion of this team, and it has propelled Harry into being one of the more popular race drivers here in the South. Richard Petty, by far and away, I believe, is still the most popular driver among the race fans, but Harry Gant is a second place and a closing second, I might suggest.
Jeff Bodine came in for a pit stop a few minutes ago, but he's back out there up to race speed. Why did he come in? Well, let's find out from Dick Bergeron.
Here's the reason Jeff came in. Soft tire. They weren't sure which tire was going down. He felt it starting to go. So when he came in, they changed all 4 tires just to make sure they got the right one. They did.
And those bad tires can set up a very bad vibration and poor handling. Jeff Bodine apparently has that problem whipped, and he's back out there trying to regain the lap and a half that he lost when he came in.
But everybody is chasing those 2 green cars and that 1 STP orange and Petty blue car. That's Waltrip on the inside, looking to the inside, Gant on the outside, and Richard Petty in the shadow.
Side by side, door-to-door racing into turn number 2. Darrell Waltrip to the inside and Harry Gant to the outside. Off of the second turn and down the backstretch. It is Harry Gant by a half a car length. Darrell Waltrip right there on the inside of the racetrack now. Now again, they're a dead even going into turn number 3. Waltrip moving to the inside, trying to find an opportunity to get the advantage coming off the turn. It's been the fastest groove in that portion of the racetrack throughout the race. Is it now? Well, it's too hard to say. They were almost dead even as they crossed the start-finish line.
From that camera that just followed Gant and Waltrip down the front stretch, the next time they go through turns 3 and 4 with that shot, those of you at home,
take a good look. You get a great view of the driver's movements on the steering wheel as he comes out of turn number 4. That lap, both Waltrip and Gant were so smooth, it was almost spooky. The hands were hardly moving on both of the steering wheels.
Our race summary with 176 laps completed. We have had 14 leaders and 32 lead changes, 7 caution periods, nothing for anything of any major significance, no driver injuries to this point, but a tremendous amount of lead changes, 32, and we're only about a little over halfway through this race.
AIR, or Atlanta International Raceway, has always done it, and it's doing it again today. Some of the favorites who have dropped out of the event, Donnie Allison was involved in an early race crash with Marty Robbins. Yes, Donnie Allison did return, and guess what, race fans? He was back with Haas Ellington, with whom he was so successful a couple of years ago. Cal Yarborough lost an engine coming out of turn number 4, clipped Dale Earnhardt, both of them spinning down the front stretch. It was an event that eventually knocked both of them out. Kyle Petty, who ran near the front briefly, dropped out. And Ron Bouchard, who had race problems all day long, finally retired for good. Those among the pre-race favorites who have retired from this event.
Harry Gant from Taylorsville, North Carolina, in this Gold Bandit 711 Buick is the leader of this race. Darrell Waltrip is second. Richard Petty is running in third place. In fourth position is Bobby Allison. Fifth is Jody Ridley. Sixth position is Buddy Baker. And seventh is Neil Bonnet. 124.761 is the average speed as we continue our coverage of the Atlanta Journal 500 after these messages. 149 laps to go in this Atlanta Journal 500 from Atlanta International Raceway. This is Bob Jenkins along with Larry Newber and Dick Berggren with the live coverage on ESPN. Well, just a few seconds ago, Harry Gant was in the lead. However, we've had another lead change, and Darrell Waltrip is back on top with Gant running in second position. Richard Petty third, and Bobby Allison is beginning to move up toward the front of the pack again. Bobby Allison now runs in fourth place. And Darrell Waltrip, who has won 12 times this year on the Winston Grand National Circuit, is back on the lead.
We also now begin to start wondering who has led more laps, Waltrip or Allison. Remember, those 5 points are up for grabs. We don't mean to keep beating a dead horse, but I want to tell you something. The points championship, turn number two, it looks like Lake Speed has touched the outside retaining wall.
Lake Speed in the Yazoo Moors Pontiac has banged the outside retaining wall in turn number 2, slid to the inside of the racetrack, bringing out another caution flag, our 8th of the afternoon.
That looked like a hard hit. Look where it was hit. He spun and slapped it driver's side. That's dangerous.
On the left-hand side. Now the window net is down. I think I did see Lake moving around, and yes, he's waving to emergency crews to come and help him. I was concerned for a moment seeing that window netting down, but Lake's okay. He wants help. He wants to get back to the pit area.
Well, here's what happened up in turn number 2 just after he hit the wall.
It does appear as though that the front windshield popped out upon impact. You see the car sliding down the 24-degree banking, ends up pointed in the right direction, but both of the wheels on the left-hand side, they're wobbling, and I have a feeling that the day is probably going to be over for the former world go-karting champion, Lake Speed, a man who really likes the super fast racetracks. As you can see, he's had a good year. He's been in all 28 of the previous races. He is one of 25 drivers who has won over $100,000 in NASCAR racing this year. An all-time record.
I got the privilege of working for that man and scoring for his car mid 1996, the Spam team, and I think it was Darlington was my first race I scored, and then for the rest of the year.
After the pit stop is Darrell Waltrip.
I didn't get to go to California. I went as far out as
in competition.
Well, I'll tell you, very few people are going to have any excuse for not having the setup that they really want by the time they get down to the end of the race. Everybody has had a lot of
I think that's as far as I got was Michigan, far away from home. With him, I got to Phoenix with Bodine the following year.
Distribution on all four sides of the race car.
But never went to
Another
California.
leader here, Dave Marcus in car number 71.
And if you look on the right or outside of Marcus's car when he comes down the front stretch this time, you'll notice that the wheels have a slightly different color than the ones on the inside. Matter of fact, the color matches the paint job on the car that started this race. See that? There's chartreuse. It doesn't necessarily go with the light or petty blue paint job on the number 71 car of Dave Marcus. That is the mark, the trademark of a true independent in Grand National Racing. The independents borrow and beg sometimes from fellow competitors pieces of equipment as Bobby Wayback comes into the pit area with his hood up in the air a little bit. They'll need an adjustment on that, but obviously Marcus has borrowed some tires from Marty Robbins. He felt that they were a little better than the ones he had available for this stage of the race in his own pit area.
We are under yellow for the 8th time today because of an accident in turn number 2 involving Lake Speed. While we are under caution, we'll take
Bolts
this break and be
jiggled out.
back in a moment at Atlanta. Well, we told you there was a big crowd here this weekend, and this proves it. 52,135 race fans here in the main grandstand.
Use that for a judge of the size of the crowd when you see crowds in other stadiums.
A tremendous crowd on hand here.
It's easy to judge 50,000,
in the southeastern portion of the United States for
150,
Grand National Racing
like that.
at Atlanta International Raceway.
Well, it's been a great season as we perform here at the Atlanta International Raceway with just one more race to go on the trail. The leader during this caution flag segment for a while was Dave Marcus. He comes in for routine maintenance on his Buck Stove sponsored number 71. This Atlanta race is traditionally one of the year-end wrap-ups for the Grand National season. The last race in the trail, of course, that moved to California. And again this year, the points battle goes right down to the final moments, right down to the final gun. Today's race has been a highly competitive event. We've had at least 11 or 12 cars who have run at the front and run there with a great deal of authority. We can't say that any one driver has really dominated the event. Perhaps the most dominating driver, and again, it's very much a subjective judgment, has been Jeff Bodine. Well, Bodine had to pit under the green flag a while ago, and he has lost a lap. During this yellow flag segment, Bodine came in again. He did not utilize this opportunity to make up the lap that he lost on the green flag. Dave Marcus spending a considerable amount longer time than normal in the pit area, 44.5, make that 45 seconds, 44.9. This time the tires and the wheels match the color scheme much better.
So on the racetrack, the leader is Darrell Waltrip with 188 laps completed. Running in second position is Bobby Allison. Third is Morgan Shepherd. Fourth, the number 33 of Harry Gant. And fifth, 43 of Richard Petty. The race speed, 126.281 miles an hour. There is the Mountain Dew Buick of Darrell Waltrip under caution. His earnings in 1982, a paltry $650,235.
Yeah, I think that's enough to make a couple of trips to the grocery store. You know, 1982 has also been a year of a lot of improvement on a lot of the teams that used to run consistently in the second echelon. And there are a lot of drivers who have come very close to winning their first career win. And all of us at ESPN kind of hope that we're around when some of these guys pick up their first victory. There's the remains of Lake Speed and Roger Hamby's machine, the Yazoo Mowers car, which got up against the wall in turn number 1. Ricky Rudd and Bill Elliott are probably the two most prominent names that comes to the front of a race fan's mind when you think of those drivers who have been fast, competitive, and certainly capable of winning. And I tell you guys, keep the faith, because I really believe, Richard Childress and Ricky Rudd, that win's coming very soon. And for the Elliott brothers, yeah, I think your win's coming soon. Kyle Petty has been close, Bodine, Joe Ruttman, and a couple of other drivers. Maybe Mark Martin in 1983 will crack victory circle for the first time.
We mentioned the peculiar looking hubs on the car of Dave Marcus. Let's find out more about that, Dick.
Yeah, these sure look like the color of the hubs that come on Marty Robbins' car. In fact, when Marty dropped out, he decided rather than sit on these tires all winter long, they do get hard after they sit around, he decided to sell them to Marcus. So it's sort of swap time here at the end of the season.
Pace car remains out on the racetrack as the Yazoo Mowers Pontiac of Lake Speed is being brought to the pit area. Darrell Waltrip is the leader of this event, and we've talked to him several times this weekend. One of the things we ask him, do you charge in this race or do you just stroke it?
Well, this is no time to do anything foolish. What we would like to be able to do is run well, keep the leaders in sight, and let everything kind of thin itself out. In a race like this, a 500-mile race, early in the going, first 200 or so miles, you've always got 4, 5, 6 cars up there that are not going to be there to finish. Hopefully I won't be one of them. But you let those guys run themselves out, keep the leaders in sight, stay in the same lap, and then when there's 100 or so miles to go, see what you can do.
14 cars are still on the lead lap, and in my estimation, any one of those 14 cars are very capable of walking off with a victory this afternoon.
Certainly there are two right there. Terry Labonte would like to get that lap back. Let's see, was he able to get it back? Not yet. Labonte is still one lap down, and incidentally, by our unofficial count, Waltrip has still not caught Bobby Allison today in terms of the total laps led.
I wonder if it says Stacy on the back of the 44. He's got that B as well.
Changes and so many different drivers in the lead. It's going to be a real close one today to find out which driver leads the most laps. We still have well over 100 laps to go, so I don't think that has even come close to being decided yet today here at Atlanta.
As soon as we establish a leader here, NASCAR has just made a rather significant announcement. We'll have it for you as we watch them race down the backstretch to see who is going to move into first place. Darrell Waltrip right now, followed by Terry Labonte, Bobby Allison. Allison looking to the inside of Labonte as they go into turn number 3. Off of the corner they come onto the main straightaway. It is still Darrell Waltrip maintaining the advantage here at Atlanta. One more race to go in the 1982 season. Then we look toward 1983. And the 1983 Daytona 500, which will be run on February 20th, will be the 25th anniversary. And Bill France has just announced that the Daytona 500 in 1983 will pay over $1 million.
Well, this year has been also a banner year. We mentioned a couple of minutes ago that 25 different drivers have won more than $100,000, and it's a list that makes a lot of real racing fans smile, because there are some of the guys on that list of $100,000 plus winners that you really like to see work their way into that. People like Jimmy Means, for instance, who has won over $100,000 this year. J.D. McDuffie, certainly Buddy Arrington having a fantastic year. Kyle Petty has been over $100,000. Mark Martin has won over $100,000, and Lake Speed. Some of the names that you might not expect, but it's been a good year because the purses have been great and the fan support has been just spectacular, and there's the reason why. Through a corner at maybe 150 miles an hour, 1, 2, 3, and do you think sometimes they're more abreast? Well, I might be stretching the point just a little bit, but a couple of laps ago, Bob, I watched Harry Gant try to hold on to the ball on the end of the spring coming around the fourth corner. He was smoking the tires. He was almost dirt tracking on the high banking.
Richard Petty in car number 43 is in third place now. Terry Labonte in the number 44 car that's running right ahead of Richard Petty is a lap down to the field, so don't consider him among the leaders. Richard Petty is running in third position behind Morgan Shepherd, who is second.
A lot of people were in Stacy's corral for a while, and something went wrong, like financially, but us as like people on like a crew like Dad and all, we didn't know any of the financial stuff, but there are some deep dives into the Stacy thing.
The number 44 Buick.
Terry is fourth in the grid. There you see Richard Petty running third. There you see Morgan
The whole
Shepherd
scenario
second.
that went down, but I only heard good, but I never heard much negative about anybody in racing, to be honest. I see nowadays all the scandals that went on. It's like, what? Like we were oblivious to it.
Inside of Bobby Allison in turn number 1, but Allison holds on to the lead. There is Allison and Morgan Shepherd right behind Richard Petty. It's basically a 3-car race here with 197 laps completed out of 328 that will make up the 500-mile race. Now Richard Petty to the inside of Morgan Shepherd, and Petty moves into second position.
You begin to wonder exactly what does Morgan Shepherd have here this weekend. Remember that Shepherd sat on the pole. You can't say that a guy who's been as competitive as Shepherd all year was was a surprise for the pole, but Morgan Shepherd, nobody really expected him to do that well on the big racetracks the first couple of seasons that he was a Grand National driver. But he's become very competitive everywhere. He came reasonably close to winning on a big track.
I'm hearing all these birds outside. I think we got a new
He was
one.
also fifth at Talladega, but today looks like he may have his best
Sounds
chance
like
ever.
a
As
cardinal.
Petty once again goes to the downside of Bobby Allison. He finds
I've been feeding him, and like more and more is showing up, like so many neat kinds. I put out raw peanuts and seed cake with sunflower and all the normal stuff. And then I put out some suets and some finch stuff, so it's like wildlife out there again.
Well, Richard
And that's
Petty,
good.
in my
They'll
estimation, will
eat
try
bugs.
everything he possibly can to
Help
get a
my
win
garden.
here this afternoon, since he has not had a victory all season. And despite that, as we mentioned earlier, he has
Boy,
fourth in
this
the
is a
point
long
standings,
race.
But victory would taste very sweet to Richard Petty this afternoon. Drafting on
Where are
Richard
we
Petty in
getting?
second position, Bobby Allison trying the slingshot coming off
just
the
so
main
much
straightaway on Oklahoma Pass.
information.
Richard Petty holds onto the lead. Allison second. Morgan Shepherd in number 98
we
is running
had
in
in the
third
next
place.
hour.
Richard, in addition to his
See,
abilities
we're
on the
at
racetrack, is
2 hours and 9
businessman
minutes
based
in,
on all the
and
winnings that
it's
he's had in Grand National stock car racing. He's involved in several businesses, including a string of car washes in the South. He also participates in a company known as Speedway Souvenirs. There's a Petty Oil
I know it's
distributing
3
company,
plus.
and also he's involved in the ownership of some resort facilities
So
in the
it's
South.
about an hour
a
to
very
go.
busy man. He's become one of the most significant sportsmen for all of automobile racing around the world.
Back in the pack, battling for 7th, 8th, and 9th position. There is Buddy Baker in car number 28. Right ahead of him is Bill Elliott, and ahead of him, Harry Gant. But Buddy Baker in car number 28, the
All
Revere
Hall of
Racing
Famers.
Pontiac in the top 10, and Buddy took over the ride just a few races ago.
Yeah, he did, and he's come closest to winning. He got a second place at Michigan International a couple of months back. They really haven't brought home that victory they kind of thought they would get on the big track, but he really hasn't been one of those 10 or 11 drivers who has actually led this race today, but you can never count out Buddy Baker. Very, very adroit at handling one of these 3,700-pound Grand National stock cars on the big racing track. Buddy, of course, always from Charlotte, North Carolina. Incidentally, the hometown of a pretty famous swimmer from the past, Don Scholander. Elsie Wiley Baker Jr. Buddy Baker, as all of us have known him. And Buddy, one of the most legendary names in Grand National racing, will join with one of the most legendary race teams for next year, the Wood Brothers car. Warner Hodgson will no longer be affiliated with that car, but the Wood Brothers, once known as the world's fastest pit crew, will certainly be back on the trail in 1983.
Well, we talked with Buddy Baker about this team that will come into existence next year as we watch Buddy come off of turn number 2 onto the backstretch. Buddy Baker in car number 28 started 11th here this afternoon and is running up in the top 10.
Well, Buddy first came to this division in 1959 after only a couple of
I
years
had to
running stock
do
cars
the
in
ad
short
real
tracks. Of course, his father, Buck, was the 1956
If I can run a 1-minute ad and get it over with, it doesn't
champion
bother
for
us for a while.
NASCAR. He's one of the last of the original Southern 500 drivers.
But it was down to 1 second.
Next year with the Wood Brothers, we
I had
asked
been
Buddy
trying to
Baker
watch
if
it.
that was a surprise to him.
Well, I'll just say it this way. It was a pleasant surprise, and I think we're going to make a really good team because I love
They make you run 3
minutes
minutes an hour or something like that. If you have Twitch Turbo, you don't get any ads anywhere, and it actually is better for you and for us.
Buddy Baker doing very well here this afternoon at Atlanta. Driver who is experiencing some problems here, Jody Ridley in car number 90. Jody, you'll remember, was running up in the top 5 just a few laps ago, but they have raised the hood on that car. Now they have it down, and Ridley goes back into competition. But Jody Ridley is losing a lap here.
Well, I think Jody had a heating problem. They were pouring
If this was a later race, like 90s, I'd skip ahead, but there's just so much I don't remember about the 80s that I want to keep.
Has been there when it counted.
Hear
when
the
it counted
stories.
In the $1 category, 7th among all the drivers on the Grand National Trail, the 7th-ranked money winner in 1982.
122 laps to go, and Richard Petty is setting the pace in the Atlanta Journal.
Now, of course, this is old Atlanta, guys.
Allison running in
You
second
know.
position. Morgan Shepherd third, and Darrell Walter
It was still
running
great.
in 4th place. In 5th is the main straightaway, clipping off another lap. 201 laps have now been completed. Make that 206 laps. We have 122 to go.
Apparently, there is still a vibration in the Harry Gant car. We've been attempting to check with his crew from time to time during the race, and they're saying, yeah, we don't have it whooped yet, but boy, to Harry's credit, he's going to be a whooped fellow when this one's over, but to his credit, he's hanging right in there and staying with the car. But Harry Gant wrestling a monster around this racetrack and trying to stay up with the leaders. Harry has lost some ground to the guys who are really right up to the front. He's about a third of a lap behind.
The number of wins in the Atlanta Journal 500. Richard Petty has 4, David Pearson 2, Neil Bonnet 2nd, and Leroy Yarborough has 2. 12 drivers have 1 win here. 120 laps to go. Richard Petty is the leader. Road in the Mountain Dew crew, we do have a pit board being made up for Darrell Waltrip. They are apparently having problems communicating with him on the radio, so they're going to do like they did in the good old days and communicate by board.
Yeah, and of course, in the good old days, they used to allow you to walk right out to the edge of the racetrack. The edge of the racetrack that you can go to now, however, is actually the edge of the pit road. So it's not an easy situation for the driver to look to his left as he comes down the front stretch. There are several feet separating the racing surface from where the pit crewmen are allowed to stand.
Well, there are lots of ways that a driver can communicate with the pit crew, and there are lots of ways that the pit crew can communicate with the driver. We examined one of those with Neil Bonnet, and we present a track fact.
He has radios. There are some hand signals, but in the case of Neil Bonnet and the Woods brothers, if the car is loose or not stable on the racetrack, he pats the roof, and if the car is understeering or pushing, he pats the door, just like the sign says.
And the leader continues to be Richard Petty from Randleman, North Carolina. Richard moving into turn number 3 on the racetrack.
I was looking to get some this week racing information off Facebook, and just something caught my eye. Pete Hamo, we went to school with, is not doing well. They called his wife and said he passed, but he's still alive. So what the holy hell?
One of the pre-race favorites, pits again. He's been having some problems the last 100 laps. We've had a very competitive race.
Says it's like
Petty, of course, leading this race. Bobby Allison, Morgan Shepherd,
just do your jobs right, please.
Right up front. Here are the other drivers.
It's tough enough sometimes when people are. He's fighting liver disease, hepatitis type thing,
Tim Richmond, who led for a while.
Cirrhosis. I don't know, something liver.
And the number 5.
He's on a list
Combs,
to
and
get one,
he
but
is in the J.D. Stacy Pack race car.
Rodney Combs from Lost Creek, West Virginia, in his first Grand National race, started 28th, is currently 14th.
And still on the lead lap, Rodney Combs. A lot of people were asking when the race began today, how did he get here? Well, I'll tell you how he got here. He's been driving race cars on half miles, third mile, and quarter mile racetracks for almost 15 years. He started out at the old Tri-County Speedway near Cincinnati, Ohio. Rodney was very, very good on the high-banked half miles in the Midwest, particularly at the Winchester Speedway and the Dayton Speedway, where he was virtually unbeatable.
Things are going to skip a little bit. I was just trying to upload something to my page, but I'll get off all these ads
circuit headed up by Bob Smalley out of Kingsport, Tennessee, and Rodney has become one of the masters of those exotic rocket ships that they try to pass off as race cars. If you've never seen late models on dirt NDRA style, boy, I tell you, you ought to go take it in, because the race cars are incredibly exotic. I don't think there are any more exotic race cars anywhere in the world. It's like watching Formula One cars with very little restrictions on the bodywork or the aerodynamics on dirt.
The lead continues to be held by Richard Petty, and look at this tremendous performance that he has turned in. Out of 895 starts, he has won 195 times. Bobby Allison has 72 victories in 556 starts.
That's why he's the king, guys.
Wins in
that says it.
starts. Waltrip has won 51 times in 279 races. And then Benny Parsons with 20 victories in 408 competitions.
But Waltrip has been the
we're gonna go really quick. Just check this out.
The past 5 seasons. Darrell Waltrip has won more Grand National
we'll
stock
do
car
this.
races than any other driver over the past 5 seasons. And in the past 2, Waltrip's total is now
Hickory?
24.
It's gonna skip. I'm doing stuff. Okay. Hickory March 28th is Arca East. Arca Menard Series.
Week in and week out. You would wonder how much of a factor is Waltrip, how much of a factor is Junior
Huffman Racing's racing Hickory opener this Saturday. There's the crew, the old pictures of the crew.
Some similar facsimile, 70 and 30, but
old times. He won the championship.
Just the right time, I think, in their respective careers. Although Junior's been
not that
for
car,
quite some time.
that car.
The success continues for Junior Johnson and Darrell Waltrip.
So anyway, that's the type of stuff I'll put on my Facebook page.
Car number 48. Lenny started 27th in this
good old
race. He
days.
is 42 years of age and hails from Chester, Virginia. And Lenny Pond
That's coming up this weekend.
The Palatine Automotive Chevrolet.
It'll be on Flow.
Well, there was a time when Lenny Pond, who was won over 41,000 this year, that
I can't open too many things, or I'd bring that up too. But as you see, just bringing up a simple Facebook page is all right.
There was a time when Pond was one of the guys that was favored when he came out, but the last couple of seasons have not been kind to Lenny Pond, and he shared with us on an earlier ESPN broadcast.
I had his signature back in the day.
Moved by on the high side, that yeah, the last couple of years there have been more downs than ups. But
Or
Lenny
his
Pond
hard card
said,
or
"I'm not a quitter. I'll be back. I'm staying with it, and I'm still hoping
Hero
for
card, I
that
guess you call him now.
pot of gold type ride at the end of the rainbow."
We mentioned to you there were 14 cars on the lead lap. There are 5 cars that are a lap down, including Jeff Bodine, Terry Labonte, Mark Martin, Ricky Rudd, and the number 52 of Jimmy Means. 2 laps down, car number 6, driven by D.K. Ulrich.
A couple of things have happened in the last 20 laps. The pace has really slowed down, but the significant moments are Richard Petty, whom you're looking at right there, has opened up the lead. Petty is about 25 or 30 car lengths ahead of Bobby Allison. There is the difference between first and, there he is, second place. No longer easy for the first time in this race day to get the first and second place cars in the same camera shot. Another thing has occurred. Neil Bonnet has slowed down again. The handling seems to wax and wane on that car today. They can't stay with it. They come in, make some pit stops. It gets better, but again, Neil seems to have slowed down. Also, Harry Gant, he is struggling along near the end of the lead lap. He's still on the lead lap. He's still, within a half a lap of Richard, but he's having a hard time keeping up.
This is why we used to sleep during these races. They were so
Another one
long.
of the J.D. Stacy sponsored cars has pulled into the pit area again, and now the crew is pushing it behind the pit wall. This does not necessarily mean that he is officially out of the race, but it means they have a serious problem.
So the Stacy Ford of Jody Ridley from Chatsworth, Georgia is behind the wall, and the crew pushing it to the garage area. 225 laps have been completed. The king of NASCAR Grand National Competition, Richard Petty, is leading at this point. He has about a 2-second lead on Bobby Allison. Third is Waltrip, fourth is Morgan Shepherd, and fifth is Bill Elliott. Back in a moment.
100 laps to go.
It's a battle of the late model sportsman cars when we
Where do they
present
run
the
at?
NASCAR Harvest 150 from the Richmond Fairgrounds Raceway. Friday, November 12th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time and 6:30 Pacific Time.
maybe.
Drivers like Dale Earnhardt, Bill Parsons, Charlie Lund, Butch
30-second
Lindley,
lap.
Sam Ard will go at it on the 1/2-mile racetrack. Friday, November 12th.
So it'd be a
Larry
half
Newber
hour.
and yours truly and Dick Bergman will be there with
Been
all the
streaming 3
racing
hours.
action.
I don't want to
Here
make
at
long
Atlanta
streams
International
too
Raceway,
much.
where we are
But it
presenting
ends
live
up that way,
coverage of
doesn't
the
it? I
Atlanta
could almost
Journal
split this
500.
into
Richard
2
Petty continues
because I
to
did a
hold
lot
on
of the
lead.
research
Bobby
database stuff
Allison second,
first.
Darrell Waltrip third, and now
Which I
Bill
said I won't
Elliott
play
has
a
moved
race.
into fourth position, and Morgan Shepherd falls to fifth.
Petty's handling may be going away just a bit. He has slowed down in the last couple of laps from that rapid pace he was
Now it is
setting
kind of
earlier.
skippy because I'm far from,
Rick
like I
Wilson
said,
to put a lap on that
the
young
internet
driver for the
source.
first time today.
And I'm not
Petty
hard lined right
considerably
now
higher
where
than he
I'm
normally
at.
does.
I
Now
could
Allison
be.
is right on his back bumper.
I've got
We may
a
be in
booster
line for another
thingy,
lead
and I
change.
got
You
a
can
better
tell that
booster
Richard is
thingy
not
that I
running as
got
quick
to
as he was, and certainly at this moment not as quick as Allison and Waltrip.
But for 1982, this is pretty darn clear, about the clearest race I've
98 laps to
seen.
go, as a matter of fact. And the two drivers who have dominated Winston Grand National racing this year. Here comes Richard Petty into the pits for a stop. The two drivers who are battling for the points lead are battling on the racetrack for the lead as we watch Richard Petty come in for a pit stop. Richard brings that number 43 STP Pontiac to a stop. The fuel goes in. The tires are being changed on the right side of the car. The windshield is being cleared off. One tank of fuel has been put in, now a second. The crew has gotten a problem over there on the right side of the car. They're having to bring out another jack.
Apparently the first jack either malfunctioned or maybe they got it on the wrong spot under the chassis of the race car, but it is costing Richard dearly. A second jack comes out. The car you saw drop
Well,
onto the
that's it
ground
for
right in the
him,
middle of the pit
Tom.
stop. That also could cause damage. The right side rear wheel is the last one to be changed, and Petty goes out in 36.8 seconds, and he, like Harry Gant earlier, loses 1 1/2 laps under that green flag condition pit stop. Richard Petty with what could be a disastrous pit stop.
And that is why we say that races can be won and lost in the pit area. Richard, with a problem on the right side of the car with the jack, has gone down a lap and a half to the leaders. And here are the leaders, battling for position on the track, Bobby Allison and Darrell Waltrip. Again, we repeat, there is a 37-point separation between these two drivers. Waltrip is leading the battle for the Winston Cup at this point. Bobby Allison,
See, the
37
old point
behind.
system, there was
This is the next to
still
the last
a lot of
race
competition.
on the Winston
See?
Cup circuit for 1982, and anything can happen here at Atlanta, and then the final race 2 weeks from today at Riverside International Raceway in California. Harry Gant has brought the Skoll Bandit 711 Buick into the pits for a service stop.
Gant also loses a lap, but some of the routine pit stops begin to start now as we have had a lengthy green flag segment in this automobile race. Waltrip and Allison lead. Petty had led 32 laps just before that very slow and long and agonizing pit stop. When will Allison and Waltrip come in? They're running at the front of the pack right now. They run smoothly. When they come in, will they pit together? Figure that they will. By the way, Darrell Waltrip can definitely not clinch the points here today. To have done so, Waltrip would have had to win the race and Allison come home last. Obviously, Bobby Allison is not going to get last. What a duel. Could this be the classic one we've been looking for?
Both of these drivers have pretty much dominated the circuit this year. They have also been very successful in the
last
races
quick
that
ad, so
ESPN
it
has
doesn't start
telecast for you.
on its
And now
own.
here again at Atlanta, it's Bobby Allison and
Do a
Darrell
1
Waltrip
minute, so it'll
going
give us
head to
another
head.
30
There are a couple of
minutes.
other drivers lurking in the shadows, however, and making this a 4-car contest. Morgan Shepherd is right there, and so is Bill Elliott in car number 9. Those 4 cars move into turn number 1, and now Morgan Shepherd moves high on the racetrack and tries to pass Darrell Waltrip, but cannot do it. More on the Richard Petty pit stop from Dick Berggren.
The reason for the pit stop in the first place was that Petty had a very badly blistered tire. In fact, there was only about 50% of the tire surface still remaining when they took it off the car. Now, you all saw the jack problem. The jack problem was basically that the jack simply slid out from underneath the car. It's one of those things that happens, doesn't happen often, happened at a very inopportune time for Richard Petty.
You can't ask for more than this. Bobby Allison and Darrell Waltrip running first and second. The crowd has again risen to its feet to watch the competition here this afternoon. Again, we are at 237 laps completed out of 328 that will make
I am
up
going to
this
skip ahead because
competition.
this
Now Darrell
is
Waltrip
getting...
tries to go to the inside of Bobby Allison going into turn number 3, but backs off the accelerator for just a moment and falls into the draft.
I'm
Now
going to kind of see if there's any, let's see.
Watch the rest of the field very closely, and that's when Wade Thornburg will come into play. He'll make that decision for Richard.
Judy Allison watching her husband out on the racetrack in turn number 3. And that is her birthday today, remember. Bobby acknowledged that during introductions here before the 52,000 race fans gathered. He would certainly like to give his wife a birthday present today and win this Atlanta Journal 500.
Let me see.
Well, we talked about the responsibility of the pit crew members, and we present an ESPN track fact.
Obviously is the business end. It's a spring-loaded valve device that's specially designed to go into a receptacle on the left rear quarter panel of the race car. This tube right here serves two purposes. There's a plastic sight area right here to see how much fuel is actually in the tank. And as the crewman bolts the wall and picks up this can, this tube also allows air pressure to go in the tube and forces the gasoline into the car. Gravity takes over as the crewman slams his tank into the car. The fuel fills up. It takes about 11 gallons of fuel, this tank does. Weighs about 90 pounds. And the crew chief expects these 11 gallons to be forced in there by the one strong crewman in about 12 seconds.
We know how difficult it is to change tires. We did that earlier this weekend, but it is also a very big responsibility to refuel the car. Back with more of the Atlanta Journal 500 as hot air balloons hover over.
I'm with Gary Nelson, crew chief for Bobby Allison. Gary, what's the strategy from here?
Boy, our fuel mileage is really close. I think we may gamble. If we can go to where we think we can go, we'll be able to fill it up and go all the way. It's going to be awful close. We're going to, unless the complexion of the race changes in the next 2 laps, I think we're going to take the risk.
When will you hit? What lap?
We want to go about 6 or 7 more laps, but it's going to be very close. He may call me saying he's losing fuel pressure and jump right in. I'm going to hold him out there as long as I think I can.
Okay, I'm going to let you go. Darrell is coming in, so you got a lot to worry about. Gary Nelson.
Holy smokes. That was quicker than he thought.
Waltrip is in the pits. Rubber being changed on the right side of the car. Fuel being dumped in. The clock ticks off 14, 15, 16, 17 seconds. He's away in 16 and a half seconds. A good stop for Darrell Waltrip, and he becomes the first of those cars that were running there in a bunch, the top 4, to make a pit stop. We anticipate Bobby Allison in just a few moments, as Bobby Allison is about to put a lap on Darrell Waltrip, but again, Bobby Allison running there, the second car on the right-hand side of your screen. Allison will have to make the stop in just a few moments.
Okay, here's the way it's set up as Morgan Shepherd, another one of our candidates for victory in the Levi Garrett back number 98. Buddy Barrett, the crew chief, pulls out. Here's the way things shake down at this point. We theorized earlier that they could go at least 65 laps on this racetrack without pitting for fuel. We have 75 laps left in the race.
I hear my dog outside barking, and I hear the little ones barking too. I gotta go check. I think it's Amazon, maybe. I'm gonna take another break here real quick off the screen and figure out what's going on out there. Never a dull moment.
But the closer that Allison can get to that point where there are only 65 laps to go before pitting right now, the better off that he is. Waltrip, it is thought at this point, obviously, by the number 88's crew, that he may have to stop one more time. Unless Darrell is getting some tremendous gas mileage, he may be outside of that 65 to 75 lap window.
Average speed after 250 laps, 129.372 miles an hour. Other cars making pit stop include the number 55 car, driven by Benny Parsons from Ellerby, North Carolina. By the way, the Jeff Bodine car, the one that was running very strong in the early stages of this race, has been taken behind the pit wall. They have the hood up on it. I don't think he's officially out of the race, but Jeff Bodine losing many laps here. 73 laps to go, and we are awaiting the pit stop by Bobby Allison. Again, it could be a situation where race strategy pays off. If Allison can stay out there and take his fuel to the limit, he may not have to stop another time before the end of this race, and that could put him in victory lane. Bobby having to take a high line there in turn number 3 to pass a slower car coming off of turn number 4. That slower car being driven by Rodney Combs, number 5.
Bobby just mentioned that there are 73 laps left to go. Allison just completed his 72nd lap on this load of fuel. It's an unofficial count. So it looks like they found it. It looks like they can pit in the next couple of laps and be pretty confident that they'll go the rest of the way. Remember that Waltrip is right at the edge. If he only goes as far on this load as he did the load that he just used up, Darrell Waltrip cannot go the distance. Allison has dropped below the white line. Here he comes.
Bobby Allison, the leader of the race, is coming in for a pit stop. He moves very quickly down pit road. The crew is poised, ready for him. His pit is at the far end of the pit lane near turn number 1. He screeches to a halt here, and the crew goes to work. But Darrell Waltrip is at full speed on the racetrack, and we'll see how these two come out on the track together. Tires being changed on the right side of the car. Let's go to Dick Berggren as we watch Darrell Waltrip on the speedway.
So far, it's pretty close to a routine stop. He did stall the engine. He's got it started again. They have changed only the right side tires, taken on the fuel, and there goes Allison. 2-tire change, a load of fuel. That's it. He's gone.
Darrell Waltrip is in turn number 2 already as Bobby Allison tries desperately to get that car up to speed. The leader of the race, meanwhile, is the number 98 of Morgan Shepherd, who is running ahead of Darrell Waltrip here, but Waltrip is sneaking up on the tail section of that number 98 race car driven by Morgan Shepherd, and will try to go into the lead once again. Shepherd the leader at the moment. Darrell Waltrip in second position off of turn number 4. It's a side-by-side battle for the lead. Bobby Allison now is up to full speed on the racetrack, but is almost a full straightaway behind.
Here is the position that Bobby Allison is now in, and I'll tell you, this is evidence that this is really a thinking man's game. Allison lost about 4 or 5 seconds to Darrell Waltrip in the pits during the last pit stop. Now, Allison has to decide, do I gamble that Darrell Waltrip has to pit one more time? Right now, me, Bobby Allison, I'm pretty confident that I can go the rest of the race without pitting again. If Waltrip can go the rest of the race, which is farther, incidentally, that he has gone all day long on one load of fuel, that means I got to race hard to catch him. But if my crew is right and Waltrip has to stop, then I can sit here, run comfortably, and take the lead with ease when Waltrip comes in for that last pit stop in the final 10 laps. Dick Berggren, you got a comment about that?
I sure do. One of the things that's worthwhile commenting on here is that both of these teams are really experts at fuel strategy. Bobby Allison, on several occasions in the 1982 season, has gone further than anybody else on the racetrack. But by the same token, if there is a guy that really knows how to get fuel economy out of a race car, it is Junior Johnson. So this struggle is not just going on the racetrack. Struggle went on in the garage in the weeks and months and years that these guys put into learning how to set up a race engine so it can get the maximal amount of fuel economy while putting out the maximal amount of torque and horsepower.
Well, if you're thinking about doing anything else this afternoon and have even the slightest interest in automobile racing, you ought to stay right where you are and stay with us for the final laps of this race. A tremendous situation is setting up here as Darrell Waltrip right now has the lead, with Bill Elliott running in second position and Morgan Shepherd in third. But Bobby Allison is the question mark at this point. The second place car, third place car comes into the pit area. Now here is Morgan Shepherd making a stop, and this does not look good as the pins are being pulled and the hood raised on the number 98 Levi Garrett Buick.
Morgan has had a great day. One of his better performances on the big racetrack. He's been in contention all day. He has been among the fastest cars all weekend here at Atlanta. Always a disappointment, of course, when you have to drop out of a race after all the preparation. But it has been a successful weekend for Morgan Shepherd. More learning laps on the big racetracks.
Well, stay with us for more Auto Racing 82. Today, the Atlanta Journal 500 from Atlanta International Raceway, a NASCAR Grand National event.
It's appearing the internet is a little skippy
Bill
this time
Elliott
of day.
brings his car behind the wall. Bill was running in second position.
Hopefully it uploads on my
and
YouTube channel
obviously
pretty
has had
good.
something go wrong. long. He is behind the wall and out of the race.
Everybody's
Tough
getting
luck
a Tracy
for Bill
now.
Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia. Again, we remind you that the LSU-Alabama football game tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time and 4:30 Pacific Time. Some of the best college football you'll see all season in that frame. LSU and Alabama tonight at 7:30 on ESPN.
And one of
because of the internet this
games
time
in terms of the result
and it is
of
noon
this
now.
weekend. LSU, where are they headed? The Sugar Bowl, perhaps?
Skippity ahead to the end of this race and get this show on the road. I've got some appointments I gotta
completing lap
make.
269. Second place belongs to Bobby
And
Allison, but
I missed
he
a
is
call early
almost
this
a half
morning, I
lap
think.
behind Darrell Waltrip. And Waltrip is looking strong here in the late stages of this event. Darrell Waltrip won his first Winston Cup race in 1975, the Music City 420 at Nashville, Tennessee. On the racetrack, the best battle concerns 3 cars for 5th, 6th, and 7th position, involving Harry Gant, Tim Richmond, and the number 75 of Joe Ruttman. Joe Ruttman, another one of those drivers who will be abandoning this particular race team in 1983. But Joe has done fairly well here in the last few races and is running strong in the top 10 here today.
The gathering of tribes showing there. Harry Gant 2 years ago was running late models in the Southeast. Tim Richmond was running Indy cars up in the upper Midwest. Trouble in turn number 3. I think it's Bonnet.
Well, a car smacks the outside wall very hard in turn number 3, and that is D.K. Ulrich in car number 6. Waltrip losing, or rather Ulrich losing control, sliding high, hitting the outside wall, then sliding down the 24-degree banking, and the yellow is out, and this, Larry, will allow the cars to come in for more fuel that will assure them going the rest of the distance.
Certainly will. The guy with the big decision to make now is Gary Nelson. Does he bring in Bobby Allison? Bobby has stayed in the same lap.
Gosh, all the
now Darrell
companies
doesn't have to
that
worry.
existed
Can I go the
back
distance?
then that
Everybody will
don't
probably
anymore.
duck in. I would expect Allison to come in. They may
We were
consider changing
snookered.
rubber. If they don't have their very best set on, they may go to just that special set that they were saving for this type of situation, but we'll see how it unfolds.
Well, not only will this allow everybody to come in to top off the fuel, but it also close up the field, and Darrell Waltrip, the Bobby Allison crew, had trouble.
Well, they made the decision to change tires on both sides. By the time I looked down, they'd already left the right side, so I don't know if they changed both tires there, but they definitely made a decision in the middle of the pit stop to go to the left-hand side. There's D.K. Ulrich's Pentax camera car going back to its stall in the garage area. So Allison has rubber on both, new rubber on both sides of the race car. Don't know if they changed 3 or 4 or 3. Waltrip's crew appeared to change just the outside rubber. Now, fortunately for Bobby Allison, of course, it was caution flag, and he got just the right overlap in lapped cars as he came out, and there are now no lapped cars between himself and the cars running in first and second, Darrell Waltrip and Neil Bonnet. Neil Bonnet, the lone Ford standard bearer that continues to run up near the front, runs in second position, sandwiched the white car, sandwiched between the 2 green cars of Darrell Waltrip and Bobby Allison. Jeff Bodine, incidentally, is running number 1 in the pack right now, but he's lost several laps.
And we can see why that Bobby Allison was voted the most popular NASCAR driver on 4 different occasions. Very popular race driver, always has time for an interview with members of the news media.
I'm going to skip ahead. I think the green.
And it looks like it could go that way again today. The question is, which one of these 2 drivers will be on top, or will it be somebody else, Richard Petty or Neil Bonnet? Here is Dick Berggren in the pit area.
I'm with Leonard Wood. Leonard, looks like Neil is running awfully strong. Is he running strong enough to take this thing?
Well, the car's running a little bit loose, you know, and it's not handling quite good enough. And it gets loose, it slows down a little bit, and then, of course, it settles down, the tires cool off, it comes back a little bit. And it seems like you're a little bit too far off to win it.
Leonard Wood said he doesn't think so.
A member of the Alabama gang, Neil Bonnet from Hueytown, Alabama, in the Hodgson National Engineering Ford in 4th position. He started this race 7th, qualifying at 164.977 miles an hour.
Bonnet runs in fourth. We still have about 20 cars out on the racetrack, in addition to the leaders, whom we've talked about quite a number of times. Terry Labonte, several laps down, continues out on the racetrack. Ricky Rudd, the number 48 car of James Hilton, that, of course, the car that James owns, Lenny Pond, is still in it for competition this afternoon. Jimmy Means, as he is just about every race in that broad.
Let's go here. 20 to go. Still the same scenario.
The laps continue to tick off. Now there are only 18 to go in the Atlanta Journal 500. Allison and Waltrip are running right together on the racetrack in first and second position. A battle on the track for this race victory and also for the Winston Cup. And while we're talking about the Winston Cup, we've got to congratulate this young man who was originally from Corpus Christi, Texas, but now who makes his home in Archdale, North Carolina. Terry Labonte. He is currently ranked third in the Winston Cup points, but he was the leader at the halfway point of the season, and I think we should congratulate Terry Labonte for a very fine season.
Well, a soft-spoken guy who does all of his talking, as the saying goes, with his two racing gloved hands and his right foot on the throttle. Labonte having a great year. And Richard Petty is in trouble in turn number 3. Something breaking on the race car. It looked like a blown engine.
2 cars, 3 cars spinning. 3 cars spinning in turn number 3.
Oh, he exploded a motor. There's oil
brings their
everywhere.
cars to the inside. Buddy Arrington in 67 spins around. This is going to bring out the yellow, of course. Richard Petty started the trigger of the accident when he spun high on the racetrack in turn number 3, and then 2 cars spun behind him. The number 48 of Lenny Pond and the 67 of Buddy Arrington.
There is Buddy Arrington on your screen in the Motorsports Designs Chrysler. Also, that car is an associate sponsor, the Henwood Video people out of Pennsylvania. There's Richard Petty. You'll see smoke coming from underneath Richard's car before he gets into the slide. It looked like he simply may have lost an engine. He'll come from the right side of your screen. There he is, already out of shape. Smoke coming from, I would guess, a blown engine. Richard doing his best to stay off of the wall right in the middle of the racetrack. You see Arrington, I believe it probably is, in the blue car coming right up behind him. Buddy trying to find a place to go. Now he's in oil. He goes into a slide. Richard locked up, goes right by our camera, right underneath the apex of turn 3 and 4. Keeping it off of significant contact with the outside retaining wall. And Darrell Sage and Buddy Arrington among the 2 drivers who found a way underneath. There goes Buddy, and there goes Lenny Pond at number 48. Darrell Sage driving straight through the oil, keeping the line as straight as he possibly could. And he never even once got out of shape.
There was a little bit of contact there between the Lenny Pond and Richard Petty cars, but Pond and the other driver involved, Buddy Arrington, made it back to the pit area, but the disabled car of Richard Petty is still disabled in turn number 3. Meanwhile, the leaders have made their...
Let me fast forward to the end of this. It's just the time of day. It's tough to stream when I'm not hardlined right
racing
yet.
again for 10 more laps, the final 10.
Big
As
time
into
low
turn number
latency.
1, Allison and Waltrip go. Allison with
see if
the
I can
advantage.
see my
Darrell Waltrip to the inside. Neil Bonnet is also there in car number 21, and we can't count Neil out of the win of this race. He has been very strong all afternoon. Let's get a quick comment on what happened up there in turn number 4 from Richard Petty.
Richard, what happened up there? Blew an engine going in the corner, and when it did, it locked up, and I spun, hit the wall, so my day's through. We were working pretty good up to that time, but now we're going to sit and watch.
Richard Petty going to watch the rest of it.
And we salute Richard Petty, who has not had a real great year this year as far as wins are concerned, but nevertheless, it's always nice to see Richard Petty in a race in any place that they run. The crowd is on its feet. I can't believe the hats that are waving, the claps that are going on, the applause being given to these drivers as they battle it out on the 1.5-mile Atlanta International Raceway in 24 degrees of banking. There are some of the fans as they watch the competition here. Bobby Allison has put himself out of the lead by 8 or 10 car lengths now, going into turn number 1. And Darrell Waltrip is to the high side of the racetrack. Neil Bonnet is now in second place.
Well, Waltrip got out of step coming out of turn number 2, about right there on the last lap. He drifted high on the racetrack. Bonnet slipped underneath. Cars running 3 abreast approached Darrell, and I think the wind drug him down a little bit. Let's see if that was just a minor situation with Waltrip coming out of turn number 2, a temporary situation. Maybe he just got out of the lane, or whether that car is slowing down. But whatever the case, it gave Allison a chance to bolt ahead by about 10 car lengths. We've only got 7 laps to go. Is that distance going to be enough? Allison appears to be pulling away. Allison is opening up the distance between himself and Bonnet. Bonnet apparently a little low on horsepower. Now Waltrip goes to the inside of Bonnet. He sees Bobby Allison going off in the sunset. And by the way, the sun is going down off the 4th corner. It's getting a little dark here at Atlanta. The drama continues to build.
I think Darrell realizes that he better get around Neil Bonnet and shoot for Bobby Allison, who, as you indicated, has opened up quite a lead here, if you can consider 12 to 15 car lengths a lead. Allison, of course, running in the clean air, but Darrell Waltrip is giving chase to him. Some good side-by-side competition there for 3rd position between Harry Gant and Neil Bonnet. Now Tim Richmond is also right in there. Those 5 cars are on the lead lap and going at it head-to-head and toe-to-toe. Darrell Waltrip, 2nd position. Still, Bobby Allison leads as they come off of turn number 4, completing lap number 323. 5 laps to go.
Now watch Gant. Gant will tap himself onto the rear deck. Neil Bonnet apparently losing an engine. Turn number 1. Anticipate caution flag. NASCAR officials will be observing the number 1 corner to determine whether or not we've got debris. So far, no yellow. The green light continues to burn. Bonnet drops down out of the racing lane. Watch Gant. We're about to say he'll tap right onto the rear deck lid of Darrell Waltrip, try to hook up in a draft, and maybe run down Bobby Allison.
But Neil Bonnet can make it back to the pit area, and if the NASCAR officials determine there is no debris on the racetrack, they will keep it yellow, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Bobby Allison leads the Atlanta Journal 500 with Darrell Waltrip running in 2nd position and Harry Gant in 3rd. There was a time when you did not run green in any way on a race car or even at a racetrack, but the first 3 cars in this race have some green on them.
It's buffering pretty good.
Too much of what's going on, but
It's the time of day, because it was pretty good
I'm
earlier.
pretty sure that all 3 of the leaders, as they came down the front stretch that time, as Gant goes to the inside of Waltrip, and Gant dethrones Darrell Waltrip with a runner-up
It's the
position.
video playing, coming in and going out, and the internet being choppy. It's getting a little...
Just a little sooner, and when just
But it is a
higher to go,
1982, but it's pretty clear for
told them that something had happened in turn number 1, and they all checked
These
it out
Hall
for
of
1 lap
Famers.
before they went back to flat foot to the floor racing.
Bobby Allison looks like he is going to win this race. Harry Gant and Darrell Waltrip are battling for 2nd position. Harry Gant has won 2 times this year on the NASCAR trail at Martinsville on the half mile and at the Super Speedway in Charlotte. He can win on any kind of a racetrack, and he now runs in 2nd position behind Bobby Allison as Allison once again goes into turn number 2 with 2 laps remaining. The white flag will come out this time around.
Bobby Allison will expect to see the white flag. At this point, Bobby is looking over his shoulder. He's checking the gauges. He's keeping his eye on that battle. Going on.
It's been a long race, and I appreciate y'all hanging
Once in a
out.
while, glance up into the mirror. Out of turn number 4.
It started like just, it was getting like long green flag runs for a while without much change in positions.
The Bobby Allison fans are going crazy in the grandstand and all over this race facility. Bobby Allison appears on his way to victory. He has 1/2 lap to go now, and about a 12 car length advantage on Harry Gant running in 2nd position. Gant with about a 3 car length lead on Darrell Waltrip. Here is the leader of the race, Bobby Allison, in the number 88 Gatorade
from a town
Dye
next to
Chevrolet
the
off of the
town.
4th turn. Bobby
He's not
Allison
very
wins
far.
Atlanta. 2nd goes to Harry Gant. Darrell Waltrip is 3rd. Tim Richmond finishes in 4th position. And unofficially 5th is the number 75 of Joe Ruttman. But there is the winner as Harry Gant pulls alongside and salutes the winner of the 1982 Atlanta Journal 500, Bobby Allison. And now Darrell also moves to the inside and salutes Bobby Allison as the winner.
Well, Bobby Allison has not won since the 23rd race of the year at Richmond. He's gone 5 races without a win. He moves in by our unofficial account 15 points closer to Waltrip.
Tim.
He finished 2 positions ahead of him. That's 10 points. We believe, this is unofficial, we believe that Bobby led the most laps. That's an additional 5-point bonus, 37 points, minus 15 today. The difference, 22.
75.
Well, we mentioned that there had only been one winner from the pole position here at Atlanta. It did not happen today.
No,
Bobby
72.
Allison started this race in 9th position and comes home the winner.
Allison also becomes only the 2nd driver in addition to Harry Gant to be a repeat winner in the last 10 years of racing here at this race, the fall race at Atlanta.
And so the 8th victory of the year for Bobby Allison. Here are the top 5 in the Atlanta Journal 500. There are lots of people we would like to thank for their many efforts in 1982. The NASCAR officials, the press, and especially you, the fans, for making 1982 a great season on ESPN. We close out the season with a salute and helps from photographer David Shobat.
I must have been their last broadcast.
1982. That wraps up the 1982 racing season. The Atlanta Journal 500 has been brought to you
They
by
still have Riverside in 2 weeks,
Motor
but
Oil, quality in
it's
every
the
mile.
last
Find
broadcast for
Natural
this
Light, the
station
beer with the taste for food.
at the time.
This is Bob Jenkins for Larry Newber and Dick Berggren. Thank you for your support in 1982.
Alrighty, we can, this is what I'm going to watch next. But I'm not going to watch it online. I'm just going to watch it on YouTube and have it running while I do some work. So anyway, people, thank you so much for watching. I will upload this broadcast almost immediately to my YouTube channel, which is at T. Kangas, just like T. Kangas
skies
here.
and warm temperatures
And it's
greeted Winston
under
Cup fans Sunday for the rescheduled Warner Hodgson American 500 at the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham, North Carolina. Cale Yarborough at number 27 started from the inside pole. Before lap.
That's one I'm watching later. Maybe next time with y'all if it's anything interesting. I'll close that player for now. No, oh well, I'll get back that. Let's see what we got. Okay, this is my channel. This is what I was telling you is my YouTube channel. And I'll upload it. You'll find it right here, right after Pikes Peak. It'll be right before Pikes Peak, actually. And these are the ones I've done recently. And not so recently. And I just keep uploading them. And I'll go back and research, you know, that era, that race. If I need it for my book writing. So please, anyway, like, follow, subscribe, all that thing if you like to do this stuff. Or when I get notifications when I go live. I'm not one to share out notifications. I just like go live and whoever pops in. Because it's not a business, it's research, and I like sharing the stories with you. And anyway, I will get back with y'all on the next one. And I'm actually getting into my cabin. Restoration. I'll play this on my way out. Have a great day, guys. Have a great weekend if I don't come live again. That's my little cabin, my little studio I'm working on. I'm going to paint it all NASCAR inside. It's got a whole story. It's on my YouTube channel. And that's me. Love you all. Really, really. Like, stay racing, keep racing, make racing fun. See you at the races for real, like more in North Carolina this year. We're going to be out and about a little more as things get a little more organized here. We're catching up. Love you, mean it. Stay racing, be clean, be fun, be strong, be fast, and
Guys,
get a
we
W.
are moving. See, look, bench.
I stopped that.
Got it all.
So you can see what I'm
ready?
doing.
Oh, all that I had to rip out.
That's on my YouTube channel. So have a great day.